All right, we are live. We are live and we are back. Miss New Orleans, how you doing? Beautiful soul. Gwen Thomas, Dana Howard, Too Pretty Miss Kitty, Kenneka Johnson, Jonathan Cook, Angela White, how are you? Mika, how are you? Honeybee. That's right, we're here for the education, Honeybee. You got that right. That's what today's live is all about. It's education. I hope I'm coming in loud and clear. Type 1 in the chat if you can hear me. And we'll do a little bit of a roll call. Miss New Orleans, Christina Canzano, how you doing? Sugar T, Johnny Mae Wallace. Oh, we're good? Okay, we are good. And it's going to get better. Tonight's special live is brought to you by the J4K community, along with myself. And we hope to cover some very important and valuable information. Tailor-made. How you doing? Butchie Boy, how you doing? Big Papa, how you doing? Brother Boss Blake is in the house. Brother Boss Blake is in the house. How you doing? Yeah, so we are looking to get together tonight and give you some insights as to the direction we are going into. A very powerful one. Douglas Anderson, how are you? Glad you can join us. And you won't be joining us on the panel. Okay, Douglas. But the door is always open to you. You know that. Megalindy, K Money, how you doing? Welcome, everyone. I know that there are several other lives going on right now, so that's okay. We're going to proceed. We are going to proceed. Tonight's live is a special content creators live. I have invited a number of content creators to join us tonight in regards to a specific subject and topic that we're going to be discussing and covering some points on. Because this subject that we're going to be covering tonight is the heartbeat of the case to date. It is the exact heartbeat of the case. Ms. Kerenz Harris, how are you? Thank you, love, for joining us tonight. Soup Bone, how you doing? Kanisha 007, how you doing? Miss BBK is in the house. Content creator in the community. So yes, yesterday I had my grandson's 10th birthday, and we spent the day doing some wonderful things, and let me tell you, it was a mind-blowing experience, and I totally enjoyed it. Totally enjoyed it. So wishing him a happy birthday, 10th birthday. He's got out of the single digits, and now he's into the double digits, and here comes the work as a grandfather. Miss Sugar T, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. So yes, getting back to inviting content creators on tonight. Some I were able to send emails to. Others, I will be dropping a link in the chat room and calling you up one at a time so that we can discuss the critical matter of the case. And the critical matter of the case, tonight's point and message, is a factor that we do have a piece of evidence that needs to be addressed promptly, specifically, and thoroughly. And I believe that content creators and along with myself and tonight's panel is going to be basically focusing in on that piece of evidence and information until we get a finite answer to this valuable piece of information that's covering the case. I don't think it's ever been discussed in great detail by any content creator, but I believe, now that I'm thinking of it, there were several who did focus on it and did a magnificent job. And those content creators are going to be joining us tonight. Yes, so I only take my time right now to make sure that my microphone and everything is running good on your side. Sound check, sound check. We can do it one more time and then I can get going. I can get going. Definitely. All right, with that said, we can type a 1 in the chat one more time. As the room begins to grow and grow solid and grow big, it's going to be pretty much the heartbeat we're going to be covering tonight. I have questions, team. Welcome. And much love to you and your team for responding to my email. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine if you can't join us tonight. There'll be other lives covering the information, but your input is valuable. I know you wanted to share a few words in regards to specifics concerning the video surveillance footage segments that you covered on your channel. But much love to you and your team. And our door is going to remain open to those content creators that are looking to join us in this specific effort and area that we're going into. Selena Cohen, second degree black belt, welcome. Jeannie Epka, welcome. Chacha Brady, welcome. All right, so we got a good sound check. All right. So with that said, I'm going to begin my work tonight and start us off as I normally do. Would like to screen share a point of focus. In all that we do. Okay, there we go. Just getting things set up here. Okay. A little bit better. I want to get smaller here. Okay, there we go. And all that we do, and begin to cover my points for tonight's live. Okay. Welcome everyone to tonight's live. My goodness, the house is filling up quick. Okay. A point of reference here tonight, point of perception, how we see things in this case, how we've all seen things in this case. What are we looking at in this case? What are we looking for in this case? So it is a matter of perception. From perception comes interpretation. And from interpretation comes personal opinion or objective opinion. And this is the logical, reasonable way to look at anything. You look at it first, you perceive it, you interpret it, and then you objectively come to a logical conclusion as to what you are perceiving. And so tonight, we're going to go over a couple of exercises. And these exercises are specifically designed for focus. Just drop this down for a minute. And obviously, before we begin, I always use a disclaimer, because I will be using content on and abroad. Oh, let me get this out of the way. On and abroad from the internet. And yes, my moderator, Majestic716, thank you for coming. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. And as we have our disclaimer up there, this is for educational purposes only. An allowance is made for the fair use for the purpose of such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might be otherwise infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of personal use and of fair use at that. We got Amp Easy in the house. Brother Amp, welcome. Glad that you can join us. Okay, so with that covered and said, I wanted to show you this guy here. Thought this would be a great start to open up our live tonight. And it's an exercise in perception. An exercise in perception. I'm only going to keep it up there 2 minutes, and I'm going to ask you what you're looking at, and you've got 2 minutes to answer what you see in the chat. Read it, and then answer it. What do you see? Only 1% of the population is able to find the animal in this image in less than 2 minutes. Share it. Share it. One who can find it, type your answer. Lady Tia, T-shirts and design. Welcome, love. Our moderators are coming in tonight. Good to have my moderators with me. They ensure that we have a successful and educational process in our lives. And the clock is ticking on your answers. Str8drop, how you doing, brother? Welcome. Definitely. Miss BBK says a monkey. Okay. Str8drop says a mouth. Come on now. Time is running out. I see a dog. Okay. This is an exercise in perception. What you see is what you see. We got a snake and we got a monkey. We got a gorilla. See a porcupine. And how we look at this case, perception plays a very important part. And what we see and what we interpret will begin to form our own opinion. And from that opinion, it's what we is based on what we perceive. True or false, right or wrong, up and down, in and out. It's what we believe we see. Kenneka says a dog. Kenesha, excuse me, says a dog. Douglas Anderson says a gorilla. Honeybee says an old man. G-Money says an email of a man. Johnny May Wallace says a snake. Donathan Cook says a monkey dog with a bone. Okay, all right. Majestic 716 says it's an owl. Christina Canzano says it's a dog. Okay. So in order for us to find our answer, we have to begin taking a look at this picture in every way possible. Every way possible. So let us find the answer. So in finding my answer, when I first saw this, and I said, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to time myself to see if I can find the answer. In less than 2 minutes, I was able to find the answer. And it was based upon how I perceive things and what I do when I perceive them. So here's what I did to find the animal. And that's all I did to find the animal. And then we have it. And in taking a look at this as an example of perception on the Kenneka Jenkins case is pretty much what all of the content creators have done in their private personal investigation of the case. Taking a look at it from all sides, inside out, right side up, upside down, flip it, fold it, expand it, everything. Everything that we do in this investigation pretty much is a very important aspect of how we cover the case. And so you see the dog, you see the animal and the bone, and pretty much. And this is where the hidden messages are in what we perceive. And looking at it from an investigative standpoint, this is what we have to do. And it takes time to figure out what's the best accurate answer we can give to what we see and what we perceive. And that's exactly the mindset that we need to have in focusing on how we investigate in the case. But tonight I've asked a number of content creators on board to join me tonight in reference to a specific topic, a very important topic that I believe collectively we can put together exactly the pieces we need to begin stepping forward and begin taking an action step toward getting better answers from the results that we've been able to produce. The rest of you guys coming in, much love to you. Thank you for joining us tonight. I knew you'd get a kick out of that example. And so that leads us now to the next piece of information that I'm going to share with you. And that information is critical because it's the information that we've been looking at, studying, investigating, doing research on for almost 3 years now. And there's one content creator that has put together, I guess, a good starting point for tonight's discussion. And that is Str8drop Media, who's done some excellent work in sharing with us a multicam sequence based on the video surveillance. Make sure this has no sound. Good. And so before you is the second exercise in tonight's live. And as soon as it comes up, we can begin. Huge shout out to Str8drop Media for putting this together, because they've done phenomenal work in an area of study which tonight's discussion is all about. Before you, you will see a 12-panel multi-dimensional video cam layout. The time in front of you is 3:20 a.m. on September the 9th of 2017 at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Rosemont. Let me get this out of the way. Thank you, but not now. Thank you. And he was able to put this together in March 22nd of 2018. And before you are 10 video panels, 12. There's going to be 12 video panels on this while the clock is running. And the second exercise tonight is how many different locations can you find and pick up? How many cameras are running in a time sequence of 10 minutes? Because that's all this is going to take. How many locations of activated cameras were actually on September the 9th of 2017 here at the Crown Plaza Hotel? And what Thriller Media has done was synced up all these locations, all the cameras, into a 10-minute segment to give us approximately all of the locations that have cameras that were activated during this 10-minute time period. So now we're at 3:21. Now all I want you to do is just write down, maybe on a piece of paper, how many times you see different camera locations. And this is critical work because all of the content creators I'm working with have viewed these panels or video surveillance footages over and over and over and over again. But now we have a 10-minute time period where we can actually see what happened in 10 minutes with all the cameras in the hotel that were activated the night Kenneka went missing. We got some numbers coming up. Majestic says 7. And now Majestic says 9. Kim says 9. Honeybee says 8. Susie 7 says 6. But pay attention, because remember, everything you see in front of you is based on your perception. Angela White says 9. And now we're at 3:23. We're coming close to the time we will begin to see Kenneka on video surveillance footage, and we'll follow her all the way till the very end. K Money says 10. G Money says 10. 45 C Pete says 9. Yeah, that's right, Majestic. Some are in the same area, and then they pop up differently. These are all the cameras that were activated at the Crown Plaza Hotel in just 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes, give or take. Shout out to Thriller Media for putting this information together, because this is homework. Diane Burdine says 18. Okay, you're quick. Now we're coming down to the critical point, 3:24. And I just want you to pay careful attention to all the details. Everything you see, remember, perception is the truth. Going into 3:25. And now approaching 3:25 a.m. And now we have Kenneka exiting the elevator in the lower right, left-hand corner. And this will begin simultaneously telling us, while she's moving, exactly what's happening in the hotel and around the hotel, and what cameras are activated in this period of, in this time period. In the lower left-hand corner, once again, we see Kenneka coming up the ramp. And this would be considered the lower level stair conference area, where she could have went up those stairs to the left, but veered off abruptly to the right. Now she comes down the hallway. Keeping an eye on all video surveillance panels. And we see Kenneka going down the conference hall area here on the east side, heading toward the west. All of the video cameras have been activated in their locations. This is a moment in time, 3:26. And paying a careful attention to detail, you'll actually see the Crown Plaza in its entirety that night, that morning. Here we have Kenneka in the conference hall, headed east of the building. And this is important information to us because this is what we've been studying. And as we do, and as we have done, we want to know what happened to Kenneka. We want to know what the front desk manager was doing. We wanted to know what the pass elevator was doing, what the laundry room was doing, the east kitchen was doing, the lobby, and so forth. Kenneka in the east kitchen, as we've seen her before, going out of camera range. We look at the parking lot area. We look at the laundry room area, the escalator, the visibility bar, the lobby, the southwest entrance, and the front desk are all activated in this time. There's Kenneka in kitchen 2, going back into the east kitchen where she entered. All cameras activated at this time. The top of her head in the east kitchen headed out of that area. 3:28. We see the little boy and the mother exit the pass elevator. 3:29, we see Kenneka now at the lower level bathroom area. Also, if you look to the left of that camera, you'll see the lady and the little boy go to the lower level stair area to go upstairs to the main floor at this time. And yes, I believe that, Kerenz. Yeah, they unfortunately in this footage they have removed some. They have removed them. This was the hardest job for one content creator to really put together, get it in sync as best as possible, and get all of the cameras in sync as best as possible to reveal what was going on at the Crown Plaza Hotel early that morning when Kenneka went missing. Maybe I can pause it here for a second. Hold on. Maybe we can do this. Let me just come back. Give me a second. That's what I wanted. Uh, Someone said they couldn't see it, so I'll expand it. Hopefully that's a better look. We're still at 3:30 now. If we could start it up again. I hope that's a little bit better. Now that I've gotten myself out the way. And we'll just let it stream up. Hopefully that works a little bit better for the person in the chat room who couldn't see it. And so now we're at 3:30:24. approaching. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, much better. Okay. Thank you. Hey, money. Want to make sure y'all can see this now. And the difficult part in putting something like this together is that you've got to challenge time skips, any kind of video surveillance freezes, and so forth. Welcome back, Amp. Hey, lovely. How you doing? Nika Mills, how you doing? This is very difficult and very time consuming to put together. But Thriller Media did an excellent job, I believe, in making an attempt to put it together in a way to give us a comprehensive understanding as to what was going on at the Crown Plaza Hotel when Kenneka went missing. Elise XO, how you doing? And I wanted to make sure that we gave this information and presented it here tonight so that you can definitely see that this is multidimensional on all levels to try to study this case to get the facts. Because this is exactly what it takes to get the facts. And you're seeing maybe this segment of it for the very first time. And this is a good piece to study. .332, we're at that point where a number of cameras were still activated, according to the video surveillance footage still running. And now we have Kenneka coming into the upper kitchen area, lower bottom right, and there she is. Good to see, at least to a degree, as to what was going on around her at the time. Who was where, what was happening, and so forth. Watch out, squad. How you doing? Welcome, brother. You're never late. And now at this point, cameras are off in the upper kitchen. Meanwhile, other cameras are still running at this time. And from what they were able to give us on their public safety website and all the case files that they put up there on the website, this is pretty much all of the evidence that we had to work with as content creators to study to get some answers on this case. We covered this to a degree because this is the point of concern, major concern. So I want to thank Thriller Media, brother. You did a great job in what you did, putting together a dynamic multicam layout platform for us to take a look at some very vital and critical information pertaining to what happened to Kenneka the morning she went missing. And the point of study here is what kind of cameras were they using? What kind of monitors were they using? What captured all of this footage? Okay. want to make sure I stopped it there. Was my question. Okay. And the camera that was revealed to us by Brother Amp Easy, in which he was able to define. Get this over here. Hold on one second. Bear with me, folks. I'm trying to freeze this up here. Oh, I think I got it stopped now. I was able to find, and I'm still in full screen share, was this camera here. And thank you so much, Brother Amp, for sharing this information with us, because it gave us a much clearer, better understanding as to the kind of video camera surveillance equipment that they used. And this is a Vivotech camera, in which Amp shared with us that he was able to get personally and share it on his channel. Major shout out to Brother Amp for doing that. I was able to study it a little bit, get an idea as to how small, how light, how heavy, how big, what the dimensions were, serial numbers, all of this information, how it operates. It had a microphone, and Amp said and confirms these cameras have a microphone. So they are also microphone activated as well. Whether the hotel had these microphones active, we don't know. However, just knowing that a microphone is present and that the software that he was able to present to us gave us an idea that these microphones can be activated and deactivated. The timestamps can be manually entered or changed. The status bar up top that shows you whether it's the pass elevator, lower level bathroom, etc., that can be written in on the in the information. So he did an excellent job, and just this little piece of information right here blew my mind to see it close up like this, and to know that we've got someone on our side, someone on our team studying this to provide accurate information on these devices. So thank you, Brother Amp, for doing that, because this was critical to find out. Absolutely critical for us to find out. With that said, let me go to an area in which, now that we have a closer look at some of the video surveillance monitors, in fact, let me see if I pulled it up here. Oh, I did. Okay, good. You'll be able to see at least for yourself. A camera monitor right there. And this is at the east side of the building. in the lower level area. If you can see that camera there in the corner, was a Vivotech camera that was used in monitoring Kenneka when she went on the east side of the building, headed into the kitchen east. So that's one of them. Here is another. It was in the lower level area between the east and the west kitchens, just above those chairs, next to that red pipe I'm pointing at, right here. Another Vivotech camera would have captured her motion in this area, which I believe it did. But that's just my opinion. And here you'll see it once again from the back. A little bit better. Just so its location and where that camera is, where those chairs are, and how deep into those chairs that camera laid is right on Chandel Avenue, right in that area. Right on Chandel. So now let's go back, take a look. And another camera is further down the hall where this freight elevator is. And she'll see that same camera present just above the freight elevator, which would have caught her coming down that hallway. Sitting right there. So that's two cameras in one location that should have caught Kenneka's motions. And that's where suspicion pops up right away. Right away. Two cameras in one location and it doesn't have Kenneka. Wait a minute. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. And this is where the mess of the case really gets started. See if I have another one for you. No, but that was just to give you an idea, an example idea of these cameras in these locations during the time Kenneka was at the Crown Plaza. So here, let's see if I have anything else on this board. Okay, so we're finished with the panel board. Okay, so here we have content creator Kerenz Harris, who's taken, oh my goodness, her professional time as a data forensic specialist in the field of data forensics, data collection. She knows the ins and outs of how it works, the process it involves, the time-consuming process that it takes, okay, to collect all or any video surveillance footage from any location. She was able to give us some insights in our last live in regards to metadata collection. The metadata is the information that's collected regarding the operation of a camera, the dates, the times, the recording, speed, everything. She was able to do a fabulous job in breaking down the importance of collecting evidence, especially in a case like Kenneka's. And she did a wonderful job giving us that breakdown. Much love to you, Kerenz Harris, for doing that. For doing that. No one's getting paid. No one's paid here. Any of us has been paid to do the kind of research and investigation on this case? None of us. And so with that said, that's critical. That is very critical. In another area, I want to get to it and then begin to pull the panel up. In a recent conversation that I had with Str8drop, we talked about a particular camera in a particular area, and this was the East Kitchen area where Kenneka began her walk entering this area. And he was able to spot right away some findings that blew me away in what we discussed on a recent video that he did just days ago in reference to tell me what you see. And we had a one-on-one discussion, and we saw some very, very incredibly strange things just in this segment. And it's no more than a few seconds, but her entering the kitchen, her covering that area near that table, and we were able to pick up some incredible information just on this particular segment, which told us, yeah, there is something definitely wrong here. Something wrong with the way not only she's walking, but the blurry effect, the layering effect, the shading, the shadowing, how her legs moved, what she was able to walk through, transparently walk through when, we know it's impossible for a solid to transparently go through another solid, especially a human being at that. And so he did an incredible job just discussing with me the facts of this particular area, which is so vitally important to the research and the direction that we're going into right now. There's much love and shout out to Str8drop. He's going to be joining us on the panel tonight. And at the same time, maybe a few hours from the time we covered this information, maybe a few hours before, give or take, because of the time difference in the zones that we live in, I have questions on the same day, posted this video called Missing Reflections, and did an excellent job in reference to the reflections on the refrigerators that Kenneka walked past. And it was funny that their findings was so incredible. I said, oh my goodness. I said, I looked at it, but once again, perception plays a very important part in what we see and how we see it and what we interpret from it. And they were able to show us some phenomenal information about Kenneka's reflection on these refrigerator doors. Okay, much love and a huge shout out goes to IHQ team, I Have Questions team, for rendering that information. Because once again, same area, East Kitchen, same video, and we got a whole lot of busyness going on here in this area in just a few seconds of the video clip. But yes, much love and shout out to all of the content creators for their contribution in this particular area. Boss Blake did the same thing. So without further ado, we're gonna get busy now. Let me just go ahead and lay this down, and we are going to and double shout out to Amp Easy for the camera intel and information. We got to get that dog out of there. And then I'll come back. Okay. And we're going to get busy in another particular area called Let's Bring the Content Creators Up and Let Them Share exactly the information that they were able to locate and find for us and give us a perfect example of their side, their perception, what they saw, and how. And this is the point, how they saw it and in what way they saw it that gave them the answers that they were looking for. All right, so I'm going to hit my clipboard here. I'm going to drop the link in the chat, and I would like for the following content creators to join me on tonight's live discussion. I'll post it. I'd like to have Str8drop come up. I'd like to have Boss Blake come up. Boss, if you're still in the house, most definitely. Kerenz Harris, I'd like for you to come up. We'll start with 3, and then once we get everybody situated, I'll go ahead and drop the link and invite a few more. And then we can go from there. One of the most important things, John, is the trial coming up soon. There was a court date that just passed us, June 16th of this month. We're getting updates on that. I'll be able to have that for my next live because the intel is still coming in. And as we wait for these content creators to come up, there are other content creators I'm going to be asking to come up, so please stand by. This is the first time in the J4K community that one content creator has gathered a bunch of content creators following the case up on one panel. And I'm just glad to say that my channel was blessed with that. So thank you. So I'm going to bring up Kerenz. Going to bring on Boss. I should be starting to show up in a little bit. And as you come up, Boss, and okay, here we go. As you come up, please mute your mic so that this way we don't have too much background. If you can mute your mic, Boss Blake, that would be great. Okay, here we go. As you come up, okay, good. We don't have too much feedback. And let me see. If Str8drop is still in the house, I'd like for him to come up. I'll drop the link one more time. And then if I can, I don't know if, did anyone see Malika show up in the chat room? Because I'm handling a couple of things going on at the same time over here. If you can join us, I've got the link. And one at a time, we're going to begin tonight's discussion. So with that said, I'm going to ask Brother Boss Blake to unmute and say hello to the chat. Brother Boss, can you hear me, bro? Boss, can you hear me? You can unmute. Oh, well, maybe I can unmute you. How's that? Oh, okay.
How everybody doing?
Maybe I can unmute you. Okay, there you go. Boss, can you hear me? You can unmute. All right. Boss Blake, y'all. Yeah. How's that? Okay.
How everybody doing?
Maybe I can unmute you. Okay, there you go. Boss, can you hear me? You can unmute. All right. Boss Blake, y'all. Yeah. How's that? Okay.
How everybody doing?
Maybe I can unmute you. Okay, there you go. Boss, can you hear me? You can unmute. All right. Boss Blake, y'all. Yeah. How's that? Okay.
How everybody doing?
We got there you go. Boss, can you hear me? You can unmute. All right. Boss Blake, y'all. Wait. How's that? How does that work? There you go. Wait. Why is that happening?
he has an additional device in the background, he needs to turn it off. If you have additional devices in the background streaming into this as well, mute them up. So you're only on one device, just turn the volume down. And hi, everybody.
Appreciate that, Kerenz.
Okay. Are we echoing? I hope not. I hope not. Boss, can you hear me?
Yeah, we good now.
Okay. Okay. I know what screen it was, Kerenz. You led me in the right direction on that one. I said, well, let me click this over here and mute this, and the echo stopped. All right. You learn every day. Learn something every day. Boss Blake, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for joining us on tonight's panel. And you own times, and we've talked some very heavy information pertaining to the work that you've done in covering this case. And I appreciate your time to be with us here tonight. Our last conversation on the phone covered a specific piece of information that we both simultaneously came up with that you were studying. And I'd like for you to share that with the chat room tonight because it's so compelling. So with that said, I'm going to mute up and I'm going to give you some time with the chat. Boss Blake, welcome to John Q's channel.
Well, definitely appreciate that, John. And definitely salute to everyone that's here in the chat, to all the content creators. Kerenz, you are definitely amazing. I'm glad we got you on our team on the real, for real. But of course, the footage that I've really been focusing on lately was the East Kitchen. And shout out to I have questions. It seems like he was on it at the same time. And speaking with John, he told me Str8drop was on it as well. So I think maybe our spirits are getting tangled up in the same footage. Who knows? It might be for a reason. But I don't know if I could share my screen, being that you have we all on this together. So I'll just talk about it. In the East Kitchen, where you see Kenneka enter the kitchen, I think we all are familiar with this footage where, okay, what do you know? There we go. Okay. All right. So here in the footage, you see Kenneka. Let me see if I can get it right here. Into the kitchen. Of course, right here in the footage, her face turns completely black. That black box is behind her. So of course we all know her face should not have turned black if that box is behind her. Another thing I noticed as well when I was looking at this footage, when this little area right here, hold on, let me go right here. When she first comes in, it just looks super weird to me. And I just feel like that's a different place. I think she was actually placed in a different, I think she was just placed in this kitchen, to be honest with you. I don't think she actually walked through it. That's my opinion. And one thing that I thought about was the fact that Teresa is very adamant about there being a camera above the freezer that Kenneka supposedly walked in. And I know it could be it could be reaching, could be far-fetched, but to me, what if that camera was this camera here, focused on her walking into that kitchen? I know the angle is totally different. I understand that. I'm not crazy, but this footage don't sit right with me. Now, as she walks further into the kitchen and she passes this, we all know you can see her, just like John stated earlier, her walk, and you can see straight through the table. How is that possible? And that just brought me to what Kerenz says, with us trying to authenticate this the footage. me and John spoke, and I was like, why would Rosemont even allow the footage that well, they don't know what we're doing, but why would they say, okay, go to the Rosemont website and use that as the footage, because that's the footage that we have, when really, this footage has been edited. I noticed when you look at her walk, her right leg, you see how it's planted right there? Look at that. Do you see that? It's like her leg turned into a letter S. You know what I'm saying? And I know I'm not a detective, and this is not my field. But anybody with the mind have any type of common sense can tell that's not right. You know what I'm saying? And right when you see this happening, that's when her face leaves the little black box. So of course, to me, we all know that area right there, somebody was with her. Now, was she in his kitchen? I don't think she was, to be honest with you. Now, I'm gonna try to go back. And they probably can't see it here, but when I got right about here, if you have the opportunity to take a look at this footage, probably in the better scenery in your own time, there's a face right here. Now, I know that contradicts with what I said, but it's not her face. You know what I'm saying? And of course, you also know, prior to her hitting that black box, who face do you see? See if I can stop it there. Matter of fact, let me just play it. How about that? It'd probably be better if I do it this way. When you get here, who face do you see? It seems to me that we all see the security guard. I don't know about you guys. That's who I see. I also see it when she walked past the box. Now, I think his name is Brad Farrell, if I'm not mistaken. He's another content creator. He does a great job as well. When you look at this footage and you really study it, it seems like you see other faces just all around in this kitchen. I'm not saying that's the case, but you can't tell me that this is footage that has not been tampered with. And of course, the footage where she's walking through the hallway before she comes into her final kitchen, we all can tell that security guard, you see his face in that footage as well. So with that being said, I just wanted to touch on that because this footage really been bothering me lately. And in my opinion, I just don't feel like she ever walked through this kitchen. I'm not long-winded, so that's what I got. I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay. Well, thank you, Boss Blake, for sharing that piece of critical information. Absolutely extraordinary. As I said before, perception is everything. And this case has definitely been a matter of perception. And to see what we see and to try to explain what we see is so critically important for others to understand. This is the hard work that content creators on YouTube and on Facebook, those on Facebook, much love to you for following the case and supporting our efforts on the Kenneka Jenkins case. I know Str8drop just sent me something and he says he's in the back or something like that. So I'm waiting for the link out there one more time, see if he can join for Brother Str8drop. So to share that kind of information and to be understood is one of the hardest working pieces of information that a content creator can really handle because you want to try to provide as best accurate information as possible in that regard. Ms. Kerenz Harris has covered an extraordinary area concerning this particular piece that you talked about, East Kitchen area, regarding how this camera captured Kenneka, what this camera was doing, how this camera was activated by her motion, what it was able to capture, and how long it captured it. So, Kerenz, share with us what you saw in just a small video clip, and I'll go ahead and mute up. And hopefully by then, Str8drop will join us.
All right. Hello, everybody. So when it comes to live data capture, okay, going across the network, we have to discuss bandwidth quality. And so, Boss Blake, I see everything that you saw there. We look at the window, which is not frosted out in this video. And we have to keep in mind the data capture. Okay, so let's keep the quality of the data captures in mind. That's one thing. But when you go into this capture, when you're talking about capturing data, you want to be cognizant, like I said, of bandwidth, and also all of the cameras. It was 47 cameras on the premises. All of the cameras inside that kitchen, and I counted at least 4 to 5 with the areas I saw. I'm talking about just in that peripheral. How many of those cameras were operable? I find it extremely suspicious that they started saying, oh, these cameras that should have been capturing her doing these things aren't operable. But before I even go there, when Kenneka entered the kitchen, this is what should have happened. For every red box that you see, red boxes, specific purpose is to send alerts to the person who's doing the monitoring. And so we talk about on-site and off-site monitoring. Who has remote access to these cameras? That means you're at a different location, but you can still see what's going on in the hotel. Who's at the hotel, who has access to the cameras as well. Okay, so when she entered, allegedly, that kitchen, somebody's got those alerts from those boxes, period. So there's no way around that. And yes, I 100% believe emphatically that it was other people in the kitchen. Now, let's go back. Can I go back to the hallway real quick? Because when we were watching through the media footage, and he was doing a side-by-side in the first release of the video footage, when Kenneka exited the elevator, a few seconds after that, the lady with the child exit, and they're in the same hallway. So that video footage should be showing Kenneka and that lady in that exact same hallway. That's what that should have been showing. Now, in saying that, let me go to what people call the obvious. A repeating frame in the forensic field for us is a red flag, because that's a clear, for us, our mind is thinking it's an edit. Anytime we see a pause in a frame, without it through a forensic tool, without even using a forensic tool, we're thinking that's an edit. Anytime we see a change in light, we're thinking in our mind before we start using tools, that's an edit. Now, when it gets to the kitchen, and even in the hallway, on a data capture, what was it set to capture? 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second? Because for every still shot that has been deleted is vital. That means you have deleted 30 still shots or 60 still shots from those video footages that are missing every second. And I want you to get this. Every second, not minute, every second of video footage where you see something that looks suspicious, you're talking about 30 to 60 still shots plus missing. Because in a live data capture, the way it is set up, you're going to configure your cameras through your network to get 30 to 60 shots every second. That's every second. So my thing is this, and I go back to us not having the original hard drive. There's been no verification of any original hard drives, no authentication of any original hard drives. And it was vital for us to get that bit by bit copy of all original hard drives. So we can say, you deleted X amount of frames. You deleted X amount of still shots. Right here, you did this. Right here, you deleted this. This is when you did this. Also, it is vital for us to know who, and people seem to kind of bypass this, who had access to those cameras. Who? We don't know. And so that's why when other people were going down the path of using the friends and going through them, I said, no. It's about who had access to all of those cameras. Where is that sheet that logged the person with access to those cameras? Where are they? We don't have that information. It's extremely suspicious that days later, the video footage comes out to the police. The police should have. Let me circle back around to this and put my weight on this. That night, the police should have had a warrant to get every electronic off the premises, period. You don't leave anything to chance. That night, the police should have taken pictures of every electronic device before they even removed them, including the serial numbers, the make and models, for a reason. So you can say, this camera was here. First level. These are many amount of cameras. This is the camera make and model. Were there any issues going on? What is the maintenance? Were there any issues prior to the day the incident occurred with these cameras? Because they said, what, at least 5 cameras in the kitchen were unoperable? Well, where's the data log to prove to us that prior to the day that Kenneka showed up on the premises, those 5 cameras plus in the kitchen that you allege were inoperable were indeed inoperable? See, we don't have that information, and all of that is vital, and that's why I would continue to stay on this case. You don't want to sit up and tell me there are no edits, but you don't have any authentication on any original hard drives. You don't have any chain of custody prior to, and you got red boxes in the kitchen. You have red boxes in the kitchen, and the purpose of a red box is to what? Alert security that somebody's in the kitchen.
Right. Absolutely. And yes, absolutely. Thank you, Kerenz, for just hitting on that point, because when you take a look at now the information behind the camera, behind what we just saw, now it starts to crystallize, and you begin to understand what you're seeing. And this is where perception plays a very important part. And all of us, everyone that's in this chat room right now, your perception means a lot to this case. And this is the reason for our focus is, if we're serious about getting justice for Kenneka, somebody, all of us together, needs to make some sense out of this. And this is the reason for tonight's live. So thank you, Kerenz, for breaking that down. And now, Boss Blake had given us his points of view and what he saw. I'm going to bring on Str8drop, because now we begin to crystallize this information once again. Str8drop is a veteran that's been covering this case for long before me. And I'm so happy that he can join our panel tonight to give you his insight and his perspective as to some of the information that he was able to come across, the video surveillance footage that he was able to review over and over and over in slow motion, in frame by frame, and still in everything. So, Brother Str8drop, welcome to tonight's panel. I appreciate you joining us.
How you doing, John? Good. How you doing, Miss Harris? How you doing, Mr. Blake? All right. I don't know how to start. All right, I could just go off of what y'all presented. All right. I think that everybody who's over here automatically gonna agree that something happened. Right. We all come to the conclusion that we all believe something happened. All right. So some things, like Brother Blake said, that you say some things, then you happen to say you're taking it back because that's the way it is. That's the way they wanted it to be. You know what I mean? In order to cover something up, they have to take, like John Q said earlier, with that picture, that image, you can see anything. All right. The whole thing is to distract the people, right? And they knew that these cameras was crappy. All right. These cameras was 480p cameras, Vivitech, old 2000 cameras. All right. And they was crappy. So I don't know. Okay, I don't want to. I mean, make a fool of myself. I don't know what happened in them hallways. All right. I'm gonna go with Blake and I'm gonna go with Ms. Harris editing. And why I say that, because if you go back to your first video that you presented, right? Let me get it together. Let me show you what you presented and what I got. I'm just going off what y'all got. All right. You showed this. All right. Can you show my can you share my screen? I think I have to do it. Share screen.
Yeah, let me see if I can get it up there. I'm busy back here in the background. Help me out.
Just press same place you added me. I should have another screen there.
Okay, so. Oh, okay. Okay, so I've got to do this little scroll down thing. Thank you for your help, Str8drop, to help me navigate this the StreamYard, because first time we have done a multi. Yeah, I see it. A multi-panel. So I think I might have hit it right there.
All right. Like I said,
I got it.
Like I said from the beginning, we all here for.
See it.
Yeah, I see it. All right, we're all here because we think something happened. And the hallways was to distract us. All right, to get us to think 100 and 1,000 things. All right, 480p cameras, 14 frames per second. They don't even shoot 30 frames per second like an average camera. So that's an excuse that they could give us as editing, because like Kerenz was saying, all cameras are supposed to be 30 frames to 60 frames per second, but these aren't. These are only 14 frames per second. So that's where they go ahead and get they get an excuse for that, right? They get an excuse for that. But right here, as you showed earlier, this camera right here, which we don't have, right? That's why I say I don't know about the hallways, but I know that this camera don't show, which will show Kenneka in the lower level going up them stairs, right? This one right here, let me open it up. This one right here, where's it at? This one here is the same exact location as the one I showed you underneath, but this one is on. All right, it's the same one as that would have seen Kenneka walk into the kitchen. We don't have neither of those footages, so I have to agree with something had to happen in the hallways for them not to give us these two main cameras. Right, that's why everybody would have a different theory. She came from the back door. She was here. She was there. She was here. She was there. Because the two main cameras that show what would have happened with Kenneka, we don't have. If that makes sense. Because you showed this earlier.
Right.
You showed this
one.
No,
it makes perfect sense.
And that's right underneath that, right? This is right here. And then to the right of that, over here would have been that other camera for the loading dock. Because to the right of this picture is the loading dock. So, like I said, why would that guy who came up in there go look down there, right? He said he seen the door cracked, right? Why would he see the door cracked when these doors don't even open a crack? You see, it would have been this door he would have seen cracked. These are push open doors that go back and forth, rock back and forth kind of doors, right? So that means he had to be up in there. Somebody had to send him up in there to see what happened. And then what you showed earlier, of that first video, which was a dope video with all those videos together of the time of Kenneka, right? You noticed Miss Harris asked about the footage. Who seen Kenneka, right? Security guard walked in at the same time into the camera room, as you've seen in the beginning of your footage. Everybody else is going everywhere else. He walks right into that camera room through that left on the conference hall. He walked into the camera room. So the whole time Kenneka is walking in the hallways, he's in that camera room.
Right.
Right. Everybody else is going everywhere else. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
You know what I mean? So that's what I got out of your video earlier. All right. And then to with Mr. Blake, I'm 100% with him with how he sees things in that kitchen that ain't supposed to be there. Like if y'all all notice, that clock is only blurry during the time Kenneka walks through there. Any other time the clock brightens up, like it was a effect. Something was put there, so we want to know the exact time of whatever they want us to think was going on at that time in that kitchen. You see, I don't really necessarily think that's Kenneka. I don't necessarily say it is. Like I said, the mama told me that was her daughter, so I go with what the mama says. But I know with my eyes tell me that there's no way that somebody's foot could go through a wire like that. Even though the cameras are so crappy, we still see what we see. We see a cord going through there, and her leg goes straight through it. Then, as the images show, her head gets bigger as she walking. It looks like she's turned from like 5'7" to 5'11". You know what I mean? And it's the same exact walking routine during every hallway to me. It's too
Right.
good. It's too the same. It's like they had 8 walking patterns. We're gonna use these all sort of like a computer moderated type thing, you know. But I'm not. It sounds crazy saying that, so I don't like saying it. But that's what it looks like. Like for me, being here 2 years, learning what I learned on computers, it looks digital. All right, and they know that they could do that because the cameras were so crappy.
Mm-hmm.
And they know the cameras are crappy. Because think about this: if you look in the front lobby camera, the front the 2 cameras right there by the where they talk to, one is a 720 camera, and the other one right beside it where we need to see everything is the bullcrap camera. They have 3 different kind of cameras there. The cameras we needed to see. All right, check this out. The smartest thing to do, if say if I was doing the crime, right? If I was doing the crime, to get the whole world to never solve it, you take the 3 main cameras. You take that camera, you take the one upstairs camera, so both low dot cameras, and you take the main one, which is the elevator main level camera, so nobody will know who's going up and down the stairs. And the main, not who going in and out. We don't care about that. I mean, they know that we don't care about that. The main cameras, who going up to the rooms and who's going into this kitchen. We don't have that. So you like, to me, it's like beating a dead horse. Ask yourself, why don't you have the main camera?
Right.
Why
Absolutely.
don't you have the main camera who's going up and down these rooms? You not only not protect this motel is trying to tell us that they don't protect their people who go up and down the rooms, and they don't protect their food. They don't protect their things. That's the back door where all the employees lead out. This camera right here you're seeing is the camera that shows everybody who clocks in and clocks out lead out this door to the back parking lot. So you're trying to tell me you don't care if anybody's stealing anything? Forget the kitchen. This camera right here shows everybody what goes in and out of their out of their motel. All right, all employees leave at the back. They don't leave at the front. They leave at the back. You see, so to me, it's a mystery that they did it right. So everybody's brain would be puzzled. That's the way I see it. You know what I mean? So of course we gonna have about there. That's it. Go ahead, bro.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kerenz.
Okay. Can I say something? Okay. So it goes back to us not having original hard drives verified, no authenticity, not knowing the maker models of the video footage, period. The cameras. And when we talk about cameras, since Str8drop was talking about the quality of cameras, let me piggyback off that and say we don't know if the cameras were mono or bi-directional, because in that you can have a camera sending out and receiving at the same time. And so if those cameras were also receiving information, well, then we need to know, was it a USB available on the inside of those cameras? Was it data available on the inside of those cameras? Were data being sent to the specific cameras and not just throughout the network to the NVR where the data was being stored? The live captures were being stored. See, we don't know that. And then it would have been nice, and I have to go back to my point, for us to have serial numbers on all makes and models of the cameras on the premises. And also, when we talk about a data capture, when you do the initial layout for any perimeter, you have to go pixels per footage. when you want to capture. So the kitchen cannot tell me that they didn't have enough cameras in there to cover the blind spots. It's just the way the police report ups. It's extremely suspicious that all of these cameras all of a sudden become unoperable.
All right, but
the day the incident occurred.
You got me confused when you said earlier that there's 5 unoperable cameras. Those cameras was
unoperable.
Yeah, those wasn't all in the kitchen. It was none that was in the kitchen. There was 5 other locations in the motel. Not there.
Allegedly. That's what they said.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
But when you go back and you look, some of those locations are in the kitchen area. They came back through the hallway. When I say kitchen, I'm talking about the hallways that's connected to the kitchen too. Maybe that'll bring more clarity to you. I'm not just talking about in that peripheral.
Correct.
Because keep in mind, it's more than one kitchen. I'm talking about everything connected to the kitchen. How did those become unoperable? I'm not just talking about that little space. I'm talking about everything attached to the space. Because in my mind, I'm saying all of that, including the hallways that's attached to the kitchen. For me, I conclude all of that, the kitchen. I'm like, all of this, all inclusive. So how in the hallway, which is attached to the kitchen, that I'm calling a kitchen, how is this becoming unoperable?
I mean, that wasn't yeah, I see what you're saying, but that's not what was.
I just wanted to let Boss Blake jump in here real quick because he looks like he wants to respond. And then at the same time too, we want to welcome Malika to the panel. Thank you, love, for joining us.
Hey, Malika.
And I'm glad you were able to make it.
Hey, y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
How you doing, Malika?
I'm doing good. How are you, Str8drop? Hey, Kerenz. Hey, Boss Blake.
What up,
John, what's up, chat? I'm just tuning in, so I'm catching up with everybody. Go ahead.
Okay, glad you can definitely join us. But go ahead, Boss Blake. I know that you look like you wanted to respond to the conversation between Str8drop and Kerenz, because it's very important we get everybody's input. But go ahead, bro.
I just had a little brief question with the footage. Of course, with all the different cameras, this footage is on a server, correct? So if it's on a server, it cannot be edited or deleted. Is that correct?
All footage can be edited, deleted, and footage can be manipulated in real time. That's what hackers do. They'll hit your system in real time. Now, they didn't need a hacker to hit the system. If your employees have access remotely to all of the systems, they can manipulate the system in real time. Who had access? Who had access? Who had remote access to the servers, to the networks, everything that's associated with the network, database server, NVR cameras, every node that's associated or attached to a network, who had access? And that's why I go back to who had remote access, who had access, period. But you can manipulate that in real time. You can hack in real time.
So with that being said,
the answer to the question is yes, data can be manipulated in real time.
So once we do have the footage authenticated, being that you just stated that, and it comes back to the point where we can prove that it's not, what happens then, being at the fact that you just stated that it can be edited even on the server in real time? What happens then?
Okay, to clear up authentication, none of this footage is authenticated after the fact. Video footage, data has to be authenticated the day the incident occurs. It's not an after the fact type of situation. Like those hard drives that captured the data that night should have been authenticated that night. You cannot power down operating systems. You cannot wait days later to authenticate hard drives. You have to do it right then and there. And it's volatile state. And volatile state means everything is powered up. Nothing gets powered down. See, the hotel was given time to do some stuff. And that's why it was vital the day that the police walked in, that they didn't wait for the hotel to give them anything. No, you go in there and you use what's called a hardware tool. It's called a write blocker. You write block every operating system, whether it's the server, because server have hard drives, whether it's the NVR that has a hard drive, every operating system on the premises, you write block them to a read-only mode, and you do a bit-by-bit copy. You copy the data, and after you copy your data, you make sure the hash values on the algorithm and this volatile state match your copy. That's how you authenticate. You don't come back after the fact without any hard drives and attempt to authenticate anything. And that is one of my biggest issues, is that the hotel don't have a chain of custody. And the police, when they got there, didn't issue warrants to take the entire IP surveillance unit. But Str8drop, say what you were saying. If I can go back to Str8drop so he can say what he was saying about cameras, because maybe we have different understanding there.
There's more than 5 cameras missing, right? And like what I was trying to stick to like what I see. You know what I mean? Like for me to automatically assume there's other cameras there, I can't do that. I can only go off the cameras that they said that wasn't there, and then to see why they wasn't there. You know what I mean? Because if that's the case, it'll be a whole lot of stuff going on. More than, I mean, if that's the case, I'm not saying it's not possible at all. I'm not saying that, but then that's like it'll be forever. Then forever if I have to go on something that I can't prove. I would never be able to prove that there was more cameras in the kitchen. I can say it, but I can never prove it.
Right.
And that's what the whole
I can see your point on that.
Hold on. Based off the report, what did you read?
All right.
If I can ask Str8drop, based off your report, what did you read?
That the main kitchen, not main kitchen. I'm sorry, take it back. I can just send him the video. He can play it. It's a video of the Zach cameras that was missing, the main elevator, the loading dock, the employee exit, and it's like 2 more. Let me find the video real quick.
Okay.
So like,
there were total 6.
Yeah, like if I was saying
I'm going
the kosher kitchen, the main it's real small, so I'm just gonna send it to you. I'm just gonna put it in the back so he could pull it up.
Okay, so you have the
it's a video
police report pulled up.
Yeah, because Mike, I don't know if you remember Mike Mecca, we got the camera. We got the camera, and he used it and everything, and that's how I knew about. That's why we got it, because he was trying to see was there any pixels missing from the kitchen footage. Like, did somebody go in there after did it shift? And like when with the red boxes is an option. If you go to the hard drive and you convert it to AVI, or you convert it to another format they give it to you, you'll actually get the whole 24 hours. You actually get the whole thing if you convert it. Like I could actually put the whole video and watch it all one long way. You see what I'm trying to say? So like the red boxes is just the easy way to figure out the movement of who was moving. Instead of me sitting down watching a whole 24-hour footage to see, I got an option on my computer on my camera system that will give me only the movements, and then that's how you take away all the extra free time. So that's what Mike Mecca got the cameras to see was anything missing from out of the kitchen, to see what people going in and out these cameras that are missing. You see what I'm trying to say?
Okay, I see what you're trying to say, but let me piggyback off. Okay, can I say something real quick, John?
Go ahead.
When I'm talking about missing, missing and inoperable are 2 different things. It's only one camera, according to Mama Teresa and Lenora, that they took out their kitchen, and that was that camera that was above that freezer. That's the one she said they clipped.
All right.
Because if you go back and you watch video footage, so when I say unoperable, they're on the premises. They just disabled them, and they became unoperable because on the 9th floor, the camera where the party was going on was operable. It was, capturing video footage. So in my mind, I'm thinking all of the cameras pivotal places were inside the kitchen, but it's been a while. So
yeah. I mean,
and I showed police reports a couple of times on my own channel, so I could be.
No.
What I was just
I
thinking.
think that, like I said, like Teresa missed, like her child is passed away, so nobody could, like I said, like I don't think nobody who's missing a child is naturally thinking the right way naturally. You know what I mean? Because it's so much. My baby ain't here. All right. So that's what I think. But I might think different, and don't blame me for my differences, but this is what I think. I'm gonna show you something real quick. If you can share my screen real quick, bro.
Right. You're good. You're good. One of the most important things also mentioned to me was the fact that if that process that Kerenz Harris just got finished talking about, where they can make changes on the server in real time, which is true. Okay. How can we track that? How can we know for sure? And so it brings up the information regarding the metadata collection.
Metadata,
and
right?
The metadata collection.
That's how we find it out.
Yeah, the metadata collection, right? And when she said that, I said, okay, thank God, because Boss Blake said, well, if they can make changes to it and everything else, I mean, where can we really, grab a hold of these people for doing that? I said metadata. And Kerenz Harris said metadata, because that is the straight line that goes across a page, and it has to stay a straight line. If anything in the metadata has been tampered with, we will get cuts in the line and starts to see line breakages where we can actually see impulsion on the metadata level of the video surveillance footage. If I'm correct. I know I am, because I listened to you very carefully, Kerenz.
And that's correct, because if I may, we were to pull it out on a graph, and keep in mind, when we're talking about forensics, we're talking about math and science here. Math is solvable. So when we use these tools,
right,
we know things are solvable. So yeah, if you were to do a graph and it's been an edit, if we were to graph it, the graph would show gray, would start going outside the lines to show us, okay, this stuff has been tampered, this is edited, this is not, the graph should not be reading this way. Right. So you're right. And in the metadata extraction, because everything leaves a digital fingerprint, we can pinpoint you back to the electronic device you were on, the time you were on it, and the time you made the changes. That's what I did with Julie Kerenz with some of this video footage that they put out there. Now, the police, keep in mind, this is third-party video footage that we have. I want everybody to remember this. This is third party. We were not there to electronically retrieve, store, and maintain anything ourselves. This is third party. And the reason it becomes third party is because we didn't get it from the hotel. We got it from the police. It'd be the third party, the third hands to touch it. And then we have to
isn't a copy of a copy still the same? Because a copy of a copy is like
no, okay, absolutely not.
How would you be able to explain to the court how they took the metadata out of it and edited it and then threw it back up in there?
The reason we explain that is by using forensic tools. How we prove that is by using forensic tools. However, the issue and the problem becomes, Str8drop, is the fact that they did not authenticate the original hard drives. There's no bit-by-bit copy available proving that nothing was tampered with. We don't have it. Nobody's been able to get me that. No reporter in Rosemont could tell me they had a bit-by-bit copy. The same thing that happened with Kendrick Johnson. They did not, and you get these sloppy copies being made. You can go in and make a copy and not know what you're doing and unintentionally delete some data. However, in this situation, I don't think that was they unintentionally deleted data. I just think that some stuff was intentional, and that's my perspective. But that's how you prove it. It's with the authentication. It's you being there. You use a hardware tool that's called a write blocker, and you write block every system. And when you write block the system, you make sure it's in a read-only mode, so you can't write to that hard drive, because you have hard drives and you can write to hard drives, okay? when you're creating copies. But you don't want to be able to write to the hard drive. You want to be able to get that bit by bit copy. You need the originals in a bit by bit copy. You don't want to get an image, because you can go in and just take an image of a hard drive. Well, that's not algorithm per algorithm. You want every entire O1 hexadecimal, decimal. You want every hash value. You want the hash values to read right. You want the hash values to say that, like, let's take our operating systems here. Let me give an example. Let's take your hard drive that you're using right now. Okay, inside your operating system is a hard drive, right? And you have it powered on, correct? Now, let's say I want a copy of your hard drive. Well, I need to get a copy of that hard drive in its volatile state while it's powered up, okay? Because if you power that hard drive down, a different set of algorithms will show up. It won't be the same. Every time it's something different. So we needed them that night to get to every hard drive, whether it was a server on the premises, whether it was going to the NVR, which has a hard drive in it, wherever it was going. We needed those copies. They never provided those. They allowed the hotel, without a chain of custody, to just give them some external hard drives without any authenticity, without saying the data integrity was here. We don't have that paperwork. We don't have it. We've never had it. And then the police had to discover, if I can circle back around to the red boxes, because the red boxes are there for a reason. They trigger an alarm on any campus, any premises. When you have red boxes and somebody comes, whether it's an ant crawling on the floor, whatever, that comes in the perimeter of that, the alert goes back to the person who's overseeing the surveillance unit. It's sent throughout the network. You got that configured in to say, oh, somebody's in these areas. They get the alert. They get the alert. Somebody got the alert. Somebody got it. You get the alerts right off the bat. So circling back around to that, but that's what we needed. We needed it by bit copy. And when we don't get them,
that's what I'm trying to say. If it wasn't a copy of a copy, right? Because like
we don't have it.
All right, I'm trying to tell you. Listen. If I have a Str8drop hard drive, right, and say the Str8drop hard drive got 15 files, all right, all them files 1 to 5, we want to 15, right? If I go ahead and right click it, copy it, and put it to my other hard drive, right, that's the same thing, right?
No. It means absolutely nothing. If you don't have the right forensic tools, I don't care how you copy what you copy.
But I'm trying to figure out, because after I called Vivitech, how did they get the metadata back up there to read the red boxes if it wasn't the original? It wouldn't have been that much time to do.
That means nothing. That means nothing. Vivotech was not the ones who had access. This was on-site monitoring. Vivotech, the third party. Now, this is something we found out early on too. Vivotech was not monitoring Rosemont's networks. They were not the third party. They were just the supplier of the software and the hardware. If you understand, they supplied the hardware and the software. They were not backing up their data. Like, I worked for ADT, and when we monitored people's homes, we were the third party that was monitoring your house. You wasn't responsible. You weren't monitoring your property yourself with all your equipment in your room there. We were. So if they requested something in court, it was up for us to present it in an admissible way. Now, for Rosemont was doing their own backups. They had all that equipment on their premises. They had it all. So Vivotech is, to me, what can they say? And the only thing, what can they say? They weren't capturing their data. They weren't monitoring Rosemont facilities. Rosemont was just using their hardware software. That's not where the information was being stored and captured at. That was on-site monitoring. And so in one of the videos, what I did was on-site versus off-site monitoring. Now, Vivotech, if they were the off-site monitor, that would be totally different. Then we could have requested a host of things from them from a different aspect. But Rosemont was doing their own monitoring. That's why it was vital for the police to issue them the same thing that they issued to Facebook, a duty to preserve. Send them a duty to preserve so they don't start tampering with them and messing up the data. They never did that for Rosemont. They did it for Facebook. They did it for Snapchat. They did it for everybody else, but they didn't do that for Rosemont.
Can you share my screen real quick?
Absolutely.
They didn't do that, and that's what I'm.
Say again, Str8drop.
Is there a way you can share my screen?
Share a screen. Right. Absolutely. There's no.
I'm working on it now. I'm gonna.
So do you understand now, Str8drop?
I'm gonna share your screen and share.
Yeah, but I don't see how that's relevant to the discussion of what Kenneka.
It's very relevant. It's extremely relevant. If you don't understand.
No. But I'm trying to see where can you prove? I'm about to show you something. It doesn't.
It's very relevant. It's the premises and the foundation.
I think about what everything
technical.
About what we could prove and what we got. Anything that was unprovable is never going to get solved because it's a theory then. You see what I'm trying to say?
No, it's more than just a theory, Str8drop. It's not a theory that nothing's been authenticated. That's not a theory, that's a fact.
But I know if I get a copy of something, it's the same. It's a duplicate.
No, it's not.
Okay,
no. It's a process. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. It's a technological process.
But how can you? How can you put the metadata? Can you show me a video of like you changing the metadata, putting the same thing, can you add me to this footage right here with it being the same exact time?
Okay, Str8drop, I did that in video footage on my channel before where I with Vivotech same time went in and manipulated the metadata. See, part of my trade
I seen that video, but your thing wasn't
part of my trade.
Your thing wasn't on the same metadata. Like you can do it, but it has to continuously run on to the next video. Like all these, if you look at the hard drive, I have the original hard drive. If you look at the hard drive,
nobody has the original hard drive. This is what I want you to know. The police.
Okay, I had a copy of the hard drive.
The original hard drive.
I had a copy of the copy.
That copy of the hard drive you have has never been authenticated. It has not been authenticated. Can you show me any documentation? I'm asking you,
but I can show you that.
And that's why.
That you can't go inside. Right here, look. I'm gonna open it up.
You can manipulate anything.
All right.
Part of my trade is an ethical hacker. We have to know how to hack systems. That's what we do.
All right.
It's part. But let me make sure Str8drop get an understanding.
I'm trying to figure out how can they get this out.
No, it's okay. I mean, we can continue. We can continue.
I just want to make sure Str8drop understands that everything is manipulated
tonight and everything. I don't want to prolong. Because we have a number of people in line and everything.
Let him get an understanding now, and maybe I can explain it.
I need to understand, right here is the original video, right? I'm gonna play the original video, and I'm gonna bring it back to the beginning.
Okay.
Right? I'm playing it. You're gonna see somebody walk up. All right? A guy's gonna walk up. You're gonna see a red box up here, right? Boom.
I'm adding it.
All right.
Hold on. I'm adding it.
All right.
I'm adding it. There it is.
I see it. Yeah. A red guy. You see the red box on this guy?
Okay, you're on.
As he walks up, if I go up here and I edit it, I convert to AVI file, right? It will show me the whole video, right? But guess what? I converted it, and here it is. And you're going to see the same thing without the red boxes and a different time on top. You see, when you convert it to the AVIs, it shows you why the boxes ain't there. And if I did a longer video, which that is the metadata. So I'm trying to ask, how is the metadata pushed back up in there in order to do that? Because that's the only thing we have to prove. If you could prove you could put the metadata back up into there and have it run consistently with the next video. Because when it comes on the copy of the file, it's all in order to the point that it rolls off the next, off the next, off the next, off the next. I need somebody to put 3 videos together and have them play consistently with something added to it. Because then after that, you're proving that you can manipulate the metadata with the same time frames and the same time, with the same time on it. It has to be the same time on both sides.
Okay, so I think I'm thinking I'm understanding a little bit about what Str8drop is saying, but I want to go back to my point. You keep saying you have the original video footage. Nobody, I'll say it again, nobody has original video footage of anything because nothing has been authenticated from original hard drives. Let me be very clear about that. You better make sure you have what's called a bit-by-bit copy that's been authenticated. We don't have that. The police didn't have that. And the police cannot say they had that because they did not go in and retrieve the electronics themselves, this electronic data themselves. So they would have had to go in first person, first person, properly right block all systems, properly back up the data, properly verify that every hard drive in its volatile state, that those hash values that you get on a copy when you're dealing with forensics and electronics match the original hard drives. We don't have that.
I understand.
We've never had that. Do you understand what I'm saying in that regards?
I understand.
But yeah, okay, now that's what I'm saying. We never had that. We don't have that. We don't have that. So the police didn't copy it first person. And in court, if you take yourself in there, and this is where I like to challenge police officers when I'm working, if I'm ever working with the attorney that's on the other side, is that first thing I'm going to ask them or admonish them to say is, ask them, did they get a copy? Ask them, did they first person go in and get these copies? And then show us the proof. Show us the paperwork. Show us the paperwork where your hard drive in its volatile state matches the hash value of the copy on the copy. You have to be able to do that in court. You have to. Okay. And if they didn't get it first person right off the bat, I'm gonna say hearsay. You were not there first person to electronically retrieve, store, collect, and maintain that data yourself. So you're coming in based off some hearsay. When the moment the police allowed the hotel to turn this over to them without being authenticated, that through whatever they was going to try to stand up in court and say that they could verify out the window. That throws that out of the window. That throws their argument pertaining as it relates to that completely out the window. You weren't their first person to get it. Julie Carnez, who showed up in my metadata, since we're talking about metadata, and there's metadata in every electronic device, from printers to cell phones to watches to any electronic device. There's always metadata. Always, always, always. And I don't care how you go in and manipulate the metadata and change the metadata. When we conduct a forensic analysis, every digital fingerprint will show up. And so with Julie Carnett, when they put this stuff online, some of these footages, when I went and got it, I said, oh, here's Julie. Julie Carnez is in the police report. I said, here's Julie Carnez on one of those videos using an inspired version of Photoshop in the kitchen with some video footage being real, changing the file types, and it matters. Just like you convert it or change the file type, all that matters because you can mess up data that way too. When you do a conversion, you can mess the data up. You can mess data up. That's why we want stuff in its raw form. We want it in its purest form as possible. We don't want people converting files and changing files. That's not what we want. We want the raw data. We want everything in this pure form, unedited, unchanged. Not people changing file formats because you can mess. You messing with compression. So you can mess with the quality of compression.
So you're saying the only way that we'll get an understanding of what happened to Kenneka if we was in front of the computer where it was at.
Those original hard drive. That's right. If we had those original hard drives.
Once you take it off of there, it's not the same, no matter what we do.
If you do not get a bit by bit copy, no, it is not the same. And then you have to also keep this in mind too, Str8drop. every electronic device that it goes through, which means the police electronic devices and Julie Carnet's electronic devices and everybody else electronic device in the metadata, that's all going to show up.
So in order for us to get a copy, they had to do it
that day.
No. The copies we got, in order for us to even get this, they would have to make a copy of it from where?
Okay.
Or we don't get it. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Here it is. The police got a copy from Rosemont days later. No, the police didn't need to get a copy from Rosemont days later. The police should have took their hips in there. First of all, got a warrant to take the entire IP surveillance unit off the premises. But before they took the IP surveillance unit and everything included, every node included, they do the bit by bit copy right there on site in real time. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was a warrant for it, and Dr. Ali Muhammad signed for it.
No, that was after the fact.
Okay.
You can't wait. When it comes to data, you can't be sitting up waiting all day, because guess what? They could have powered the system down. Do we know? Do we know if they powered anything down?
And powered it down, then did what?
Then you messing with everything. You messing with the data. You're gonna get a different set of algorithms if they power down the data. The whole read changes. It changes. The data changes. The algorithms change. The volatile data is no longer there. It's no longer there. It's no longer there. You don't get it in real time.
Okay, but will it take a murder away? Once you cut it back on, is that murder still there? That's all I'm trying to get to.
No. Yes, it could. So
that means everything in the world should never be used after the day if it's used. If somebody gets shot on this block, the cops come back 2 weeks later. That's what I'm trying to.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this: when you are dealing with forensics, it is important that you get it in its volatile state when it's powered up. Because once you power things down, operating systems down, what was there in a volatile state no longer exists. That data is completely gone. It's gone.
Can I ask this question?
Yes.
So John, the purpose of us having this live discussion tonight is to talk about authenticating the footage. Going by what Kerenz says, and I understand what Str8drop asking you. So that brings me to the question: what are we here to do if it can't be authenticated? You feel what I'm saying? So what are we here for?
Right. Well, this is what I think John is heading on. If we are to build a foundation, he said, take the case in a different direction. Well, one of the main points to getting any case open is if you are going to rebuttal against opposing parties right off the back. If I'm going in court, I'm saying, excuse me, this data was not authenticated. Where's this documentation? Where's that? Based on these grounds and these conditions, this is how I'm going to substantiate my claims. No authentication. Red flag. It's just a bunch of red flags. You waiting. You have a party who is going to get sued, creating a conflict of interest by turning over evidence to the police. Who's going to turn over evidence against them own selves and incriminate themselves in court?
The original authentication.
You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. That's point number 2. You see what I'm saying? And so that's what tonight is, to get to these points. Because like he said, I'm sure on everybody's channel, and I have not seen everybody's work, everybody's been proving some points, but it goes back to how do we put it all together in writing, or putting it all together in writing and saying, hey, no authentication. Do you know how many cases are thrown out of court because video footage wasn't authenticated? Do you know how many cases are won from people who did commit crimes because video footage were not authenticated?
Yeah. But I'm not really up here. I mean, really in it to seeing what cases getting thrown out. I'm here to try to find what happened to somebody. You know what I mean?
And finding out what happened. We never got to any. We didn't get to any authentication first. We didn't get to any unedited video footage. If we wanted to really find out what happened, we needed all the video footage
from the
in its original form.
From that computer record.
From the very beginning. We needed it.
Right.
We needed it from every hard drive,
And,
that the data was being backed up to,
They
because it
should
was
have
more.
went
I'm
right
sure
to
it
the
probably was going to
hotel
more than
and
one.
subpoenaed them for their footage. They should have went right in there and got all the equipment, like she said, from its original
All
state.
of it. All of it.
Instead of
All of
waiting
it.
to be transferred over to them, they should have went right in there.
So is it a mistake or
absolutely.
was it purposely done?
It was the way that they handled it.
And one of the ways, one of the ways, and I definitely, I do apologize, Malika. I didn't mean to take so long to try to bring you up. I wanted you to chime in, and you did. Thank you.
No, I'm paying
So,
attention.
us people.
I'm learning as we go.
You gotta jump in. You gotta jump in to get in, right?
I got a question for Corinne. Is that why we have two different timestamps, Corinne? 2 different times?
Okay.
Can you kind of break that down?
Thank you.
In regards to the timestamps, because everything is based on AD and BC, before Christ and after his death, you have timestamps coming from the NVR, the network digital recording device, right? And you have timestamps coming from cameras, and you have timestamps coming from other locations. All that should have been synchronized. Every last bit of that should be synchronized. All of it. And so I found that extremely suspicious. And that's why on the clocks, I said, because also on the wall, those clocks that were on the wall in Crown Place, that time should be synchronized to the video footage time too. Because if you say she was in here at such and such time, what is the time on the clock saying? Exactly. Was she in here at this time? What is the time on the video footage saying? Right. See, when you get up in forensics, you have to go through everything. It's such a minute and tedious process. You cannot leave out anything. You can leave nothing to chance. Nothing.
So what
absolutely
was nothing. All right, so never mind. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Str8drop. I like questions.
All right. So one of the times this is what I was told from Vivitech. I got the video on the channel. One is the computer timing. When you first get a computer, and the computer time is set to the computer time. The second one is the time that you set up for the cameras that you want all of them to be synced to. So that's why when you, like I showed you earlier, when you do to when you convert it to the AVI, you get the that's why when we first came out, you got a 230 and a 330. One was the AVI and one wasn't AVI. One was set to the computer time, the other one was set to the computer time.
Well, what's interesting about that is, have you ever heard
in the Vivitech software? I can show you how you set that up and how that happens.
That doesn't right there. That doesn't even matter to me. You know why? Because we used to go off FAT, what you call file allocation tables, which still exists. But guess what Windows did years ago?
What's that?
They switched the process for every operating system, and they went to network file allocation tables. So I don't care how you slice it and dice it, all of those times still should be synchronized. And the fact that Vivotech, because I discussed this on the other live that I did with John recently, one of my assumptions is they didn't reset the time. Well, guess what? If you didn't reset the time, you're still going to be held accountable for that when you show up in court.
Yeah, but like you
said, when
like
the time changes over,
you said
when
on
the time
this software is running from 1999, 2000 cameras. So that why it wouldn't change. It's not new, like you said, new software. This is old software. So that's why it wouldn't change, correct?
No. Everybody have to keep up with industry standards.
But if them cameras
everybody
running off the Vivitech,
everybody.
It's like me having an old first Mac. You can't be updated. It is what it is, but you're still running off of that system, so that you can't update that system if it ain't built to be updated. Correct.
Okay. Now, you're talking about Vivotech camera.
Vivotech camera.
Or are you talking?
Yes.
Okay. You're talking about Vivotech camera. Yes. I'm going to talk about the hard drives and the electronic device that was used.
Yes.
When the data capture occurred, that was storing the information. Do you know the make and model of the NVR?
I could get it. I can send you right now from Mike Mecca's video.
And you have to get it from Rosemont. You cannot get it from Vivotech because Vivotech wasn't on Rosemont premises.
We got it from
if that makes sense.
A foreign company in a different country on Vivotech, and we got the same models, and we ordered the camera.
Okay, I'm not talking about the camera right now because the camera represents a node on the network.
Yes,
I'm talking about the original
it only runs
electronic device that was used to capture the data, to store and capture that data. Do you have that? Do you have that? No, only Rosemont had that.
But
so we can't say
it's all gonna be the same if the software, the cameras don't have up to date what's it called? Don't have up to date software to run the newer things you're saying. If you go to Mike Mecca page, it shows you how far it could go. It's not up, it's nowhere close to. Remember, but like earlier, you said it runs 30 frames per second. These cameras don't run 30 frames per second. If you look at my screen right here, I can show you it's only 14 frames per second on these.
Okay, but my thing with this, would you all say you got the exact camera? When you all saying you have the exact cameras, you don't know the make and models of the cameras on Rosemont premises. And the fact that they're using Ethernet says a lot. This is not, they don't have analog set up. We did away with analog a long time ago, and analog dealt away with you capturing those 40 frames per second. You have to keep up with the industry standards.
And that's what
keep in mind that
I'm trying to tell you, we did it live when we got the camera. We got the model. That model came out. It was 2 models.
All of them.
Listen, nope, it was an A and B. It was A and B for that model that they had. It was 2. We went ahead and we gave them benefit of doubt and bought the better one. No camera that they're showing right there shoots nothing 30 frames per second in real life. Not even if Rosemont is trying to finesse us and scam us or do whatever they're trying to do to us. Even when Mike Mecca use that camera, it looks just like this. The quality.
Okay, I don't care what it looks like on the outside. Can you verify that and prove that by those serial numbers on the back of the cameras? We don't have that information. See, what you're saying, what you think, it goes back to perception, like John said. I don't care what you think you see. We need make and model numbers off cameras for real in the world of forensics. We can't go off of it looks this way, so I can assume no. We have to have real make and model numbers. Hey. We also have to know where all of the cameras were located because there were more cameras on that premises and cameras look different. We have to have all of that. None of that was presented to us. And that's why I go back to my initial stances from the beginning. Where is all of this information and data we should have so we can come behind them and say, okay, they were using this make and model of camera. Now, let us sit and investigate the make and model of the camera as well as the quality. But with all of that,
you have them make and model of the cameras and the photos. Try to find it for you now. We did a video like a year ago.
We would have had to get that off. We would have had to get that off Rosemont premises.
Hey, question.
I'm trying to say that so we shouldn't do the case because the only thing we got is what Rosemont gave us.
Not that we should. Not that we should do the case.
Hear me out. If we all came here off of what we're seeing and we're digging into what we're seeing, right? Why would we now just start avoiding it because we don't got the original? That's what I'm gathering off of this. Like everything we're doing is like basically just don't do it now because nothing's original. That's why I look at it.
That's not the point for me. For forensics, it's like we don't have the originals. So let's jump into it and find out why we don't have the originals. Let's see where the cover-up is occurring. Just like they did in Ken Johnson's case. Like the #1 videographer, forensic expert in the world, when he told them, you don't have a bit-by-bit copy, and the quality of the copy that you are bringing on this hard drive is trash. I need original copies of everything. But let me circle back to the cameras, if I might. We needed the make and models of the serial numbers off every camera on Rosemont premises. We needed that. And to me, it becomes extremely suspicious when you go in and you do a half-tail job and you don't give all of the information. You do half-tail search warrants and you do not get all-inclusive warrants to retrieve everything off the premises. I become extremely suspicious, and that makes me want to stay on the case and say.
Can I ask you all one question though? Why do we care about these cameras that are missing? Why would they even take cameras away missing if they could just do all this other stuff?
Because we want the video footage from it. We want to see what happened.
From the beginning of the video, when we started off, these videos are missing. Why would that even be? You know what I mean? Matter if they could just don't give us originals.
Hey, let me
go
ask you
ahead.
real quick, if you don't mind, because this is really bothering me. Vivotech, excuse my ignorance. Is Vivotech is a third-party company, right? Were they a company that's monitoring the footage for?
No, they.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, they
so
were not.
He's a camera
that's
company.
all I need to know then. Thank you.
Just a camera company.
No, they were not. They were just the suppliers and the manufacturers of the electronics to Rosemont, as well as software. That's all they do.
Mm-hmm.
But they were not conducting the monitoring. So to me, at the beginning, they became a non-factor and irrelevant because you didn't do the monitoring. You can't speak first person on anything. You would have had to be capturing and storing and maintaining the data.
So
you would have had to be there to get it.
So with the cameras that was missing, that's why nobody was notified, because Rosemont was doing that. They was monitoring the footage themselves, right?
That's right. They were monitoring their own facility.
Yeah, that's negligent.
On-site monitoring. And it goes back to, if I can circle back around to Str8drop, everything from the beginning. When I don't see authentication from a forensic perspective, red flag.
Yeah, I respect that.
Red flag. That's a red flag for us. That's red flag because we want to know what's missing. We want to see what you did. Okay. To pontificate about the frames per second that were being captured. I don't care. You said 14 still shots. We have to be able to verify and prove that. Industry standards set a long time ago. As soon as we went to digital realm,
camera models that they show only shot 15 frames per second.
As soon as we went to Ethernet cable, we changed the quality of data capture. How many frames per second can be captured? That determines what bandwidth. The quality of your bandwidth also going to determine the quality of your video.
Yeah, so you're trying to tell me because if I have an old Nokia, just gonna have an app to download a better camera doesn't mean my phone is gonna shoot better camera. It's about the camera. The camera doesn't shoot number 14 frames per second. Just because I get better software around it will not give that capability of that camera to get better. That camera will only shoot 40 frames per second. That way it was built for. It is the camera.
I doubt very seriously if Rosemont, a 5-star hotel, was still shooting that.
The cameras only shoot that. The cameras will never shoot
14 frames per second.
That Vivtech camera would never be able to operate 30 frames per second. It's not built to shoot 30 frames per second. You have to go in each camera and put a chip in each one or reprogram to do what you're saying.
And I'm gonna go back to.
That's why you're looking in the hotel. They have 3 model cameras. They don't only have 1 model camera. They have 3 model cameras. They have a 1 black bulb camera that's right there by the elevator that's missing. Then they have the second 720 pixel camera that's right under the desk. Then the other, everything else is 480 by 14 frames per second. We have all 3 models.
From what you could see, but you don't know the make and model numbers off the cameras, though. You cannot definitively say. You can't definitively say.
No,
listen, you cannot definitively say, Str8drop. You cannot definitively say that those are the exact same cameras. I hear what you're saying, but unless you're running real make and model numbers with serial numbers to verify, you can't definitively say that. You can't definitively say that. Like me, I can definitively say.
I know if
nothing's been authenticated.
It only has 2 model cameras that look like that. Period. Built.
Okay. That's what
we bought the best one. The best one. We gave them the benefit of the doubt when we bought that best camera of that model. When you look at these cameras, you see how they look. It says you see the Vivtech on it, you see all of that. So if there's no other cameras that look like that for Vivtech, you see what I'm trying to say?
I pulled up a couple of different cameras when I went
and pull them all up, and I guarantee you, say 30 frames per second. I got a whole bunch of the Vivtech cameras that look like that model, not a bunch of Vivtech cameras, that model type camera.
I said I pulled a bunch of Vivotech cameras, and similarities did show up, but it goes back to, can you definitively say that you got the exact make and model from Vivotech? No, you cannot. With the serial numbers, which aren't going to change, matching the camera that you have.
We didn't get started.
See, all of this matters. You would have to go Yes, serial numbers matter too. You would have had to be on Rosemont premises to collect this information, camera by camera.
Right.
All of this
Right.
matters. All of
Right.
this matters. And this is
Right.
what I'm saying. And
I'm-
no, so I don't back off the case because every element is an element of suspicion, as well as you allowing a conflict of interest to occur. You got a party who's going to be held liable, turning over electronic data,
Uh-huh.
electronic evidence to you, and you think they're going to self-incriminate.
Mm-hmm.
That's an issue. That's a problem. So that's why, circling back around
Right.
to why we stay on this case. No, everything was suspicious off the
Okay.
top, and we got too
Okay.
much
I'm gonna
missing.
jump in here right now. Because it's a phenomenal discussion. Believe me. See, now we're getting to the grinds of this case. And when you have folks like Kerenz and Str8drop and Boss Blake and Malika, and I have questions, Jackie Dragon, and a host of others that are really in boots on the ground, 10 toes down on this case, this is what we're talking about. And this is a discussion going forward that I've been looking forward to for a long time. One of the most important things, and I'm going to chime in, not to change anything, but I'm just going to piggyback off of what you guys said. Malika had brought to my attention a very important question regarding the 36 hours. And when she started asking me these questions, I started humming like a bird. I said, 36 hours. Where did this number come from? Who decided it was 36 hours of video footage in the first place? Well, you know something? When you do the math, and this is the point, another point of challenge in this case. Now, we've talked about the metadata collection through Kerenz Harris. We talked about the video surveillance footage from both Boss Blake and Str8drop. And I wanted to begin having Malika chime in on this very important question she brought up on the case to my attention is about this 36 hours. And I said, hey, point of challenge. Where did they get the 36 hours designation point from? When you do the math, it doesn't add up, okay? It was reported to us by Larry Rogers Jr. when he first took on the case for Teresa Martin that there were 47 cameras in that hotel that he was given as information reported to him through a private investigator. Out of the 47 cameras, we are told through the Rosemont Police Report's narratives that there were 6 inoperable cameras. Those cameras are the ones that Str8drop mentioned earlier. Those 6 cameras representing the kosher kitchen, main lobby camera, which we don't have footage from, the 2 back lower level kitchen cameras, one near the chairs that I showed you before, one near the freight elevator just above it. And then we go back upstairs where the Rosemont Police Department take us to say that there was a camera up there pointing at the exit doors to the employee entrance. And that camera we don't have footage on. So here's your 6, okay? They said that the laundry room camera, laundry room 2, wasn't working. And then they changed their mind later, which took that camera out off that list and back into play. All right. So when you do the math, out of the 47 minus the 6, and you start to take a look at what they're trying to tell us and what they told us, we would take 47, minus 6. That brings us to 41 cameras. And let's take, for example, a 12-hour time period. Let's go from 12 p.m. noon to 12 midnight, okay, as an example. And let's add that time factor up. 41 times 12 gives us 492 hours of video surveillance footage around the clock, 12 hours. Doesn't it? Do the math. If I was to cut that 41 down in half and say it was, okay, 20 cameras, times that by the 12 hours as an example that we talked about in a time span, and that would give us 240 hours of video surveillance footage from 12 to 12. Let me be real generous here and cut that in half down to 10 cameras. And 10 cameras at 12 hours would give us 120 hours of video surveillance footage. Okay, and I said, Malika, you got a point. Malika, yes, that is a point of huge contention because where in the hell did they come up with this 36-hour video footage? And this is one of the heaviest points, I believe, we can begin to attack this case with that information, along with the authentication of what we do have. Now, I'm going to roll with this because this is where we can all connect. I believe we can all connect. The authentication process that I'm looking for is to take what we have, okay? Kerenz talked about it, Str8drop's talked about it, Boss Blake has alluded to it, Malika's definitely talked about this to me, along with Amp Easy. He's spoken about this to me as well. We can get what we have authenticated. We can get the hard drive sent over to the company for authentication, let them report, do a thorough analysis report on the items that we want checked, have it sent back to us, okay? Have it sent back to us, and let's see where we stand with that analysis report. Now, once we get that report, okay, we will have in our hands the after post Kenneka surveillance footage, raw, updated information that we don't have, number one. And number two, we need to take a look at how that explains this 36-hour video time span or sequence that we were told. So upon that, I see you raised your hand, Kerenz. I know you want to jump. I wanted to allow Malika to jump in to express her points on that serious point that she brought to me. Some other points I'm sure she's wanting to bring up. So Malika, if you can chime in real quick.
Well, you pretty much said it, John. It just didn't make any sense to me.
Oh, no.
But I want to know, based off of what Kerenz was saying, as far as us not having a original hard drive, does it even make sense to have the copy authenticated? Like, was she saying it? Because I came in when she was actually speaking on it. So was she saying that it doesn't make sense? I mean, because we don't have the original.
Yep. There's no way. I don't know. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking.
I think it
because that was our plan of attack, to actually have the 36 authenticated. Okay. So were you saying that it really don't make any sense because we don't have the original? So let me just get
you don't have a bit by. Okay, right. If you don't, now I don't know where John was headed, but he talked to me about it. But if you don't have the authentication from original hard drives, which everybody could have verified with hash values that match, that's what mattered. That's what we needed. We needed original authenticated copies, and then we could have plucked that apart. Now, to come after the fact, after it's gone through so many other electronic devices, well, all those other electronic devices going to show up in there. Like when I did metadata extraction and Julie Kerenz is in there, down to this, down to the time that she used Photoshop, down to her changing the type of file in Photoshop off that video footage, down to the time she did it, down to the date she did it. That's what I was able to get. Now, if somebody comes behind doing metadata extractions or examines, number one, they're going to want the original, like myself. That's what they're going to want. They're going to want the bit by bit copies. When you're dealing with any real forensic investigator, they're going to want the authentic. They're going to want what's been authenticated.
It gotta be.
That's really what. I mean, they will look at it.
I think it gotta be.
They'll look at it.
I think it gotta be authenticated. My authentication, no disrespect to you, was when they took images of it from Target, which took no BS footage, and took images of it. That's the authentication. When Target took it, they went to. Why would Target take something that ain't authenticated?
That's not when it was authenticated. Target Forensic, and that's why I said from the beginning. First of all, Julie Kerenz was using an expired version of Photoshop. And the thing about dealing with data is,
I don't know what that got to do with. I'm asking you.
Oh yeah, it has a whole lot to do with it, because when you are dealing in forensics, if you have a virus, if you have a worm, if you have a Trojan horse, and you attempt to bring that data in court, guess what you've done? You compromise the integrity of the data.
So Target did that.
So yes, it has. It has a lot. I didn't say Target did that.
But
Julie,
that's why I
I
asked you.
wouldn't.
That's why I
She basically saying it was
Julie,
done
I
prior
wouldn't
to
have
them even sending it to Target because
I
they
wouldn't
need to
have
go
touched it
in
if
and
I was
get the
Julie.
original. Basically, she's saying
Julie should have took her butt in there and got it. She can't tell me this nothing was unedited either. I said that from the start too when I did that video on her. When you come to court, I will get you on hearsay if I'm with the opposing party. Were you there? And I have done this before. Were you there to collect the data yourself? No. Well, then what are you speaking to? What are you speaking to? You're speaking on the basis of hearsay.
I don't want to feel nobody in the chat or anybody on the panel to feel offended. Yeah. But I take it as like when you say that, like I'm wasting my time and anything I look into or see or anybody else looking to see.
No. I'm not saying you're wasting your time. You know what? Because what I did see in some of the channels that I did watch, and like I said up here,
how can we see
I'm not going to
authenticate? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, why are we talking about?
I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
It's Mike just finesse us, right?
Because people, because it was interesting.
Why take cameras away? I'm not understanding.
Let me say this. What was interesting was this. What they did put out, people called them on it. So I did appreciate the call out from the police. Like, here you are.
If it ain't authenticated,
y'all putting out some stuff. Y'all putting some stuff out here that's trash.
I actually said that from the beginning. I said, why would they even give
Rose able to see that?
I said, why would they give Rosemont some footage that would incriminate themselves? John, remember I said that from the very beginning?
They not.
I said that from the very beginning. I think I even posted that in Facebook.
For what?
Yes. I remember Malika said that. Malika said that to me.
I asked you the same question, John.
But what they did do was this Str8drop, where everybody started looking at the footage. If I could circle back around the Str8drop, what did happen was this. They put it out there and they thought people were going to buy the narrative and believe the narrative that she just walked into a freezer so inebriated and intoxicated and locked herself in. No, that's what they wanted to do. That's why they pushed 36 hours out. But from the beginning, the police officer, and that's on record too, said we released 36 hours out of hundreds of hours of video footage for you. We only released 36 hours, going to Malika point two. So they determined what was vital for the public to see. And on the onset, I had an issue with that too. No, you don't determine what's vital for me to see out of hundreds of hours of available video footage, because it's 24 hours in the doggone day. And you want to go give me 36?
Exactly.
So that brings me to the question is, was it a mistake on Rosemont PD or was it done purposely?
You know what? When I showed up at the protest, it creates heated confrontation because you get us on the ground saying you can sell this okie doke to somebody else. But
I mean,
for us who come from
really didn't do a real investigation, so I would say it was done purposely.
They didn't. And so when protesters get on the ground and we know that this is some bogus stuff, who are you working for? Because you get security guards who are police officers who also contract in to Rosemont. As a matter of fact, one who was a police officer for Rosemont, the village of Rosemont, also was in the video footage as a security guard too.
So that brings us to the only reason I keep bringing that up is because it's like,
who you working for?
If it was done purposely, how can you even win a case like this if we're going against the odds already? Because they got Rosemont PD on their side, seems like it.
But really, Rosemont PD can come and take the stand like all police officers come and take the stand, and they usually have sometimes the same old song and dance when they get in court, and we're saying no. You're not going to sit here and tell people all of this stupid stuff like 6 cameras unoperable down on the network. Cameras represent a node on the network, and you couldn't get those fixed in advance. You're not going to sit up and tell police come into court Well, come on up there and try to speak to and get cross-examined from the other side saying, did you, that day the incident occurred, collect this data yourself? And if after you collect it, how did you store it? How did you handle it? And how did you maintain it? See, that's what I do. How did you do all that? To prove that nothing was messed with, to prove that the data integrity is there. They can't prove that. They can't speak to that. And then you say, okay, you do your little motions, you can get them sent up off the witness stand. Bring me the next person and let's keep it moving. Bring me the next person. Bring me the next person, because you can't speak to anything right now. And then when it comes to electronic data, you also have to go to maintenance for the person who did turn it over to the police. And I had to do this in court. Can you tell me how the data was being maintained? No. I said, okay, so you can tell me about the maintenance of any of the systems. No. Why? Because you don't work for the person. You wasn't even there. And that brings me back around to the general manager too. All of this in my videos before. Mm-hmm. Was he there the day the incident occurred? Because if he wasn't even there the day the incident occurred, his hands should not have copied a thing. He shouldn't have. He shouldn't even been backing up the data.
Hey, Kerenz, you said that the footage could be edited real time, correct?
In real time. That's what hackers do.
So if that's the case, let's just say, hypothetically, let's say this was planned out. You don't think they was ready or prepared for that?
Who was prepared? Police?
Nah, Rosemont. Because
I don't think Rosemont.
Okay, what I'm saying is, okay, we know the footage been edited. You said it could be edited in real time. Yeah, we see a lot of footage with the security guard that you got to be blind if you don't see him in the footage. So let's say, for instance, that is him, and it can be edited, and let's say they had a purpose behind them killing Kenneka. We didn't have a chance from the beginning because they could have edited real time, correct?
You're saying we didn't have a chance from the beginning. Yes, we do have a chance from the beginning. To me, we always had a chance from the beginning. And our chance from the beginning is challenging them on this. First of all, authenticity of anything.
You mean as far as looking into it from an investigating standpoint?
Oh, from an investigative standpoint. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Oh, how they came out and wanted to just create their narrative. Yeah, they wanted to create a non-starter before the starter got started, if that's the vein that they were going down. They wanted to create a narrative and just have everybody not investigate anything and say, okay, we'll all go to sleep now and believe she walked in that freezer. But Jeffrey Feiger is too smart and too sharp for this. This man been doing this too long. And that's why he said, by the way, while I had my detectives go in there and investigate, where's the video footage from the 9th floor? It was a camera on there that was operable. He threw that out in a press conference. Where was that? And he also circled back around being very cynical and sarcastic, not cynical, but sarcastic, I might add, and said, I want all of the video footage. He knew what he was saying. Come on, everybody's stupid. He's been doing this too long. And you bring your own forensic teams in. That's why he had to own detectives. And then he told them, by the way, because they did have the freezer investigated too. The freezer only locks from the outside, not the inside. Since they wanted to call it accidental, he playing a game with him, a game of cat and mouse. Okay, y'all said it was accidental. She accidentally locked herself in there. He said, well, no, freezers don't lock. That type of freezer, because they did send detectives out, don't lock from the inside. It can only be locked from the outside. So she never locked herself in there on the inside. Somebody locked her in there. He made that plain too. But see, before he even started investigating the freezer, the first attorney, Larry, was having the freezers investigated himself. See, all of this was vital. My portion is because I am computer forensics. I'm looking at everything from a forensic aspect. I'm going, where's the chain of custody for this? Where's the authentication for this? Who turned over what to the police? Oh, so y'all didn't go in there and get it. So you didn't go in there and get it. So when you show up in court, and that's why I said I love these kinds when they show up in court, so I can say hearsay. Hearsay, you have no firsthand knowledge because you didn't retrieve the information yourself. It was turned over to you by a party secondhand.
So it seems
Then
like
you put it out here to us third hand.
so it seems
They
like
gave it,
who
you
would
gave it
be
to us.
held liable? Would it be Rosemont and Crown Plaza?
Well, let me tell you who Jeffrey Fiker and them are suing. And everybody in the motion for discovery has had to answer. The security company, the kitchen, the hotel, and it's one more they get. All of them. The construction company, all of them. Because they all had access to that kitchen. Even though they said, the beverage manager said, oh, well, the kitchen is being remodeled. That doesn't mean anything. Employees were still walking in and out of that kitchen. I don't care if it was being remodeled, they still have access. And you see them going in and out the kitchen. So all four of them are being sued. All four. So they've been doing motions for
So in this
discovery
case,
to all four. All of
so
them.
in this case, Kerenz, let me ask you a question,
Mhm.
because one of the main points I wanted to address in this, and I'm so happy that everyone on the panel is doing an excellent job. Everyone in the chat is being respectable, and this is what makes things work. This is exactly
Mhm.
what makes this thing work, and I'm so grateful to be hosting a live so powerful right now in this case with the team that we're addressing and have on our panel. I'm very grateful for that. But Kerenz, here's my angle. This is the way I wanted to attack this. I spoke to Str8drop earlier in reference to 13 particular locations that showed up concerning Kenneka at the Crown Plaza Hotel on September the 9th of 2017. These locations consist of, and I'm going to run them down, the southwest parking lot when they arrived, the southwest entrance door where they stepped physically into the hotel, made their way up the stairs to the visibility bar, down into the food court, and these are the first four locations that Kenneka was seen the night of the morning of September the 9th. Now, the next time we see her is location number 5, which is the past elevator at 224, 225. We see her at the lower level stairs on the conference level, where she missed going up that first flight of stairs to the left, and she proceeded to be abruptly pushed to the right and walk that hallway to the corner. And then the lower level conference hall on the east side, all the way down at 225 into 226. Lower level conference hall west is where we see her now enter the east side of the building, west side, excuse me, of the building, into the kitchen area that which we saw her, and we discussed the photograph and the video earlier. From that kitchen, she went to kitchen 2, and then back into kitchen 1, back into the lower level bathroom area, and she spent at least almost 2 minutes there. And then we see her in the upper kosher kitchen at 232, 332, give or take. So these were 13 locations that we see Kenneka on video surveillance footage. I wanted to take a look for us to say, well, we know the
Where
first
the
4
people,
locations.
where the people
Right.
that were in the hallways, why she was, because surely, and I'm going to say this emphatically, she was not in the hallways alone. Where were the people that were also in the hallways, and why
Right.
did they mysteriously come up missing?
Now there
And how
were
did she?
9 locations where there were no people. Yeah.
And how did she mysteriously get into a kitchen
There
that
were
was supposed to be locked for construction purposes? Yeah, that's why Jeffrey
right.
fired on them. So yeah.
I'm
So
still lost.
my point was,
I can't keep you just. I mean, I've been chilling. You know what I mean? But I mean, like to be honest with you, none of it makes sense to me. You know what I mean? If it's not, we can't take in. I know people is disagreeing in the chat. We can't take what we're gonna authenticate and what we're not gonna authenticate. You feel me? It's like a tug of war. All right, it's like a tug of war. Like people want to believe what they
Right.
want to believe, but let's be real, and that's why I don't believe like dealing, because people don't want to keep it 100. All right, we up here trying to. If it's not authenticated, she can't answer that question you're asking her, because she already thinks it's not authenticated, so she can't tell you about the
I
whole.
know for a fact it's not authenticated.
So that,
It was never authenticated, Str8drop.
in your point, but for him to ask you that question, she wouldn't know. Okay, if not in her eyes, none of it is not authenticated. Only thing we got, that's
right. So,
what it is.
Okay, so you.
well, that's what I wanted to do.
Str8drop,
I wanted to see if we can check.
Okay.
I wanted to see if
Hold
we
on.
can check 9 locations. I wanted to
Hold
see
on.
if we can check 9 locations that Kenneka got on camera, and that we see her. If that video portion can be checked for authentication.
Okay, I'll go back to what Str8drop is saying. I see whatever you and Str8drop discussed prior.
No,
Is
what
what he's
copy. So the copy he has, which we all have, which ain't the original authenticated copy. So no way
right.
he
It's
can
not
take
been
nothing off of
authenticated.
that.
So
Nothing take off of that.
Okay.
Not authenticated. That's what I'm trying to say, John. It's not authenticated copy. So you're going through
Right. Okay.
which will come back authenticated to that original copy of that copy, if you're according to her. Right?
no, that's according to the way forensics work for real.
Yeah,
And not real, for real. For when you
Right.
hit court, for real.
So it
Yeah,
will come back
not for
authenticated
fake, for real.
because it's that original copy of that copy. You see what I'm trying to say?
Right. I understand what you're saying, and that's why I said, well, after the fact, what are you authenticating? No, you authenticate first. Authentication happens when the incident occurred. It doesn't happen after the fact. After the fact, we just go through and we can conduct metadata extractions. We can conduct other
Now that's my point. That's my point right there.
investigations.
That's my point
That's
right there.
after the fact, and I think that's what John wants to do after is out there, is go through and do like I did, do the metadata extractions and see who's
Right.
doing what where. That's what I think he's getting to.
That's
So
my point right there. That's my main point right
You
there.
understand? But
If-
Str8drop,
if
what is
we
your
can
point?
get some
Your point-
information.
My my point is, if you saying that, okay, like you said in the beginning, if we wasn't there the hour that we found Kenneka missing and we didn't get that computer that held that all of that, everything else right now is basically like a heads or tails thrown up in the air. We don't know if it's real or not. So the copies we got is gonna come back authenticated to the original copy of the copy, not authenticated to the copy of from that computer.
Exactly.
So by
That's right.
See what I'm trying to say?
That's right.
That's
right. Exactly.
what she's saying.
You're right. That's exactly what I'm saying. You don't have you're not authenticating from the original hard drive. Nothing is coming back. You're just going in and having somebody, and most forensic teams are going to say, we want original copies from hard drives that have been authenticated, because we're getting this second hand, really third hand, depending on who hands it's coming from. So my perspective is this: it make more sense for me, my perspective, to say, if I'm going to challenge you, I'm going to challenge you based off of lack of authentication, and say to you, because there is no authentication, you didn't give us the opportunity to prove edits were made. You have no original copies. You've given us no opportunity to really do our due diligence and really conducting investigation thoroughly like we can forensically in our field. You've taken that opportunity away from us, and because you have, is extremely suspicious. Not only is that extremely suspicious, why in your right mind would you, being detectives, allow the party who's going to be held liable in a suspicious case to turn over anything to you? Why did you not, I'll go circle back around to it, get warrants like they do, like the FBI would have done, like the FBI did for number 45, like everybody else does? Why did you not get all inclusive warrants and go in and take everything? After you right block the system, after you got copies in their volatile state, why didn't you take everything off the premises that day? You don't leave it up for Rosemont to turn anything over to you in a suspicious case like this, period. So that's my point emphatically. And based off that, I'm saying lack of authentication, lack conflict of interest. And then let me go here too. A third point that I would build my claim on is the fact that by law in Illinois, whenever there is a suspicious death, the medical examiner is supposed to be on the premises to conduct the investigation, be there to retrieve the body and get all of the forensics off the bodies first. Why were the medical examiners never there on the premises? It was the coroners. Why would you allow the police, because they had to take pictures, to move Kenneka Jenkins' body from its original state? Why? Before the medical examiners got there. Because when you move a person's body, this is my third point, and building my case the way I, in my mind, would build it and take it to court and take it to the state or anywhere else to challenge anything. Secondary lividity shows up in a person's body when you begin to move them. You don't have the lividity or the blood flow from its first state. The police officers were on the premises moving her body before coroners got there. Even the medical examiners never got there. They should have been there. So we got you right there. Messing up evidence, vital evidence. You are messing up vital evidence right there off the bat. If we're going, and they never told us her time of death. Never. Never. So what time did she die? All this stuff I said from the beginning, what time did she really die? You had the police in there taking pictures, moving the body. Before medical examiners never showed up. Coroners got there after the fact. When you move the body, you change the lividity. That means the flow of blood in the body. We never got a time of death. That's my third point that I would.
What about the photos, Kerenz? What about the photos? So we can also have that checked for metadata, inconsistencies and things of that nature, right?
Now, what's funny about that is the cameras that show up on those photos that they took are from the police department. They really took photos for real, because I did metadata extractions on that too. I said, interesting. They showed up and they only took a certain set of photos, but I didn't see photos from the cameras that Str8drop and everybody else have been alluding to tonight. Well, when you show up to a scene like that, you don't just get photos of the person, you get photos on all 47 cameras. That's the way that's supposed to go down. Not only do you get the photos of them, you're supposed to have on body cams. Not only are you supposed to have on body cams, you need to document the serial numbers. You time it, you date it, all that is supposed to be written out. We don't have it. We don't have it. So my rebuttals from police department would be very strong. And somebody, Douglas Andrews, is saying it. You moved the body. We don't know her time of death. What are you in there moving body for? To me, all of that is you tampering with it. You tampering with evidence now. To me, in my mind, I'm saying you have jumped over into tampering with evidence. First of all, you're no medical examiner. And deaths like that, based on Chicago, Illinois, based on Illinois law, because they happen in Rosemont, and anytime there's a suspicious death, the medical examiners, suspicious death, her being locked in a freezer at a hotel, suspicious death, medical examiner should have been there on the premises before the police touched her body and started moving to take pictures. We never got definitively her time of death. They was already there doing stuff. We never got her time of death. You're changing the flow of the body fluid. See, so I'm going off the forensics. We don't have authentication. I'm going off of law. Medical examiners were not there on the premises. You had already been flipping and moving her from her original state in which she was found. You know, so it's 3 points that I think are really solid to go off on if you are going to challenge anybody on the validity of anything being suspicious pertaining to this case. It's some valid points in here. And so the video footage being out there, I'm happy they put it out there. I really am. It's unfortunate that they did the day of her homegoing service, which was tacky to me when they initially started releasing it. But I'm happy it's out there. So the narrative that they wanted to run has been process of eliminated. And for people to say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Well, I say to this, because with the MTV that I didn't watch, I said that was bogus. You're not conducting any real investigation. You didn't even question the police department. You didn't go to the hotel. You didn't do nothing. You just up here running whatever with that. For people saying, well, you're just conspiracy theory. No, I'm not basing anything off of conspiracy. I'm basing things off of what's not given. We know what's given. Now, the flip side of that is I always look at and say, what's not given? I see what you gave me. We know what that is. Now let me find out what's missing. What's not given here? And so that's the way I started to build. What's not given? Well, we don't have a chain of custody. No authentication has ever been proven. No time of death has ever been given. What's missing here? The fact that the medical examiner didn't show up on the facility like Illinois law state that they're supposed to in a suspicious death. They moved her body. We don't see them with any real forensics, biological forensics being available. That's not been made available to us. We don't have it. We don't have it. We didn't see them go in and retrieve any fingerprints, footprints, or anything else from this facility. We don't have that. We don't have it. So I'm building off of what didn't you give me? What's missing? Who was there? Who was on the premises? Where's the DNA from the scene? See, when you're conducting real investigation, you do all this. We've seen this before on real crime and real cases. You go in and you get real forensics. I just find it extremely suspicious off from the beginning. So my point is I stay on this case because it's too much not given. And you don't get to throw this out here and say, oh, let's run with our narrative. She walked in there accidentally, but you can't produce all of these documents and you can't produce all of this information that should be given, that would have been available had it been anybody else. Where is it at? So to me, I think that's another way to build. You can build, there's flip ways you can build, but after the fact, try to get something authenticated. I expressed that to you, John. Authentication happens in the beginning. And you don't have any original hard drive. Right. So what are you authenticating? So, and that, I think that speaks to Str8drop point, but it's still a way to stay on this case because it's so much not given, and to build on that and say, you know what? Wait a minute. Where is the biological forensics at? Where are the fingerprints at from the premises? Where are the footprints at from the kitchen? Who was in there for real? Because everybody has a different footprint impression. I don't care if they have the same shoe.
Kerenz, I got a question for you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What about as far as the lives? Could those be authenticated? Because I know a lot of us believe that those lives was edited or like I think with Tyrone and Irene's lives, can those be authenticated?
Yeah, those now from Facebook and Snapchat. What's interesting is the police, when you look in the detectives, when you go back through their paperwork, their chain of custody, their documentation, they sent duty to preserve to Facebook, Snapchat, and everybody else. So because you're dealing with tech companies that deal with tech and large volumes of data, they know how to hold and preserve data the appropriate way. Facebook, big volumes of data. Snapchat, big volumes of data. They know how to do that correctly. They come from the field. They come from that field. So they did that, Malika. They did that. They did their duty to preserves there. They never did it for the hotel, though. And I find that extremely suspicious. You would do a duty to preserve for everybody else, but you didn't do it for Crown Plaza O'Hare? Why? That's extremely suspicious. But Facebook, Snapchat, yes, you can send that in, and that can't be authenticated because that came directly from Facebook and Snapchat themselves. They had to turn that in.
Okay.
They turned that in an admissible manner, in a manner where the data integrity was intact. Whereas Rosemont, because wasn't no duty to preserve, wasn't no warrant or nothing else issued for nothing pertaining to that facility, they had time to do whatever it is they was gonna do. Remember, it took days before the police even got this footage from them. It took them days. You giving them days to sit, giving them days, seconds, minutes to sit up there and manipulate everything they want to manipulate, and then turn it over to you and say, "Oh, here you go." By the way, no authentication. We didn't even turn in no chain of custody to y'all. Here you go. And then the police, while we're talking about red boxes, said, "Hold on." One of the detectives, when he was doing his analysis, Str8drop, while we're talking about red boxes, said, "Wait a minute. It's red boxes in the kitchen." Had to go back to the hotel and say, "Hold on. Give us the rest of the video footage from the kitchen, would you? We see red boxes." Then they said, "Oh, okay. We'll give that to you." Oh, yeah, they gave it to him on some thumb drives. So reading what happened and looking at what's not being given.
I was trying to tell you that. I was trying to tell you that and show you that earlier. If I open the kitchen footage and it's only 20 seconds, when I convert it to AVI, it's 24 hours. But nobody's in there for movement. That's what I was trying to let you know earlier.
That was your point. Okay.
Yes.
That was your point. You don't see a person in there for movement, and then that goes back to some other things. I said, okay. So yeah, the police had to say to them, you still got to be careful in conversions too, because like I said, you're dealing with, when you start converting stuff, you start messing with compression. One of the reasons in the forensic field that we want everything in its raw, pure form is it's the way images are compressed during a live data capture. We want it that way when we get it, so we can see everything and investigate everything. Not only do we want it that way when we get it, we're looking at hexadecimals. We're looking for every single thing when we're going to the network. We have to look at everything so we can say, oh, at 2 o'clock, a hacker showed up and this is what they did. Or at 3 o'clock, your employee was on the network, over the network, manipulating the systems, messing with camp. See, that's why we wanted that. That's why we wanted a bit by bit copy. We want to be able to say, this happened at this time.
If we was to get it looked at, right, would it tell us? That mean if it ain't the official copy, that it would tell us that it's not Vividtech. If we was go bring it to the people, it would tell us it's not the original Vividtech because it's not Vividtech. It would be somebody else.
It's not Vividtech.
Okay, so that would be a reason to bring it to people to figure out if it ain't authentic.
It's not
right? Because the real authentic would be Vividtech, correct?
No, the real authentic would not be Vivotech because Vivotech was not the one monitoring the facility. Str8drop. That's the reason it wouldn't be Vivotech. Vivotech would have had to be.
But when it came up the
monitoring that site.
Vividtech, when it came up the Vividtech, like the computer, all that would have been Vividtech, right?
Okay, so what they're doing is they're using
the app would have been Vividtech. So once you convert it from there and bring it somewhere else, it's Vividtech. So if they would do a tool, as you said, inside of it, and we got it looked at, we will see the tool that made it different, correct?
We would see everything. We would see everything. We would see who was doing what over the network. we would have been able to see everything. Everything. It would have ran us back to everybody electronic device, including their location, including the time and the date that they were doing whatever they were doing. And that's right. When the incident was occurring in real time, it would have ran us back to that data. Why it was happening in real time. Yes, it would have. But Vivotech is just the supplier, the manufacturer of the cameras and the systems being used. They weren't monitoring.
So it would say that this file was modified on this date 14, saying that basically something happened differently than the original date that before the 10th or 9th, whatever the days happened.
Right, exactly. Like when Julie went in and used Photoshop on one of those videos.
Yeah, I don't even know who Julie is. You can tell me who Julie is. You
Julie Carnez worked for Target Forensics.
Okay,
she's in the police report.
You keep throwing Julie. Like, I know Julie. I thought Julie was from another case or something. I ain't know.
No, Julie Carnez worked for Target Forensics. Okay, y'all.
I know Ty Rowland. I know Irene. I don't know no Julie.
Hey, I was saying to myself, who the hell is Julie?
And say something for the chat. The chat, my job is to ask questions, or if not, nobody will know. So you could look at me as whatever way you look at me.
I love questions. I love questions.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, it has to be said, or if not, you leave here with nothing. And that's not the
agenda. Leave it open, right?
Yeah, you leave here with nothing. Right. So I'll be the a-hole for the day, but at least you leave with more, you know?
No, and you're not even being an a-hole to me. So just a little quick background. I taught for years, and to me, the stupid questions are the questions that never get asked because they'll never get answered. So I welcome all the questions, and then my thing is to come up with an analogy or an example to try to create some clarity for you, to try to make it clear for you to get to see what I'm saying, to kind of paint a picture on the canvas of your imagination. There are no stupid questions.
And it's a healthy debate. It's a healthy debate.
It's not even a debate to me. It's just me answering the questions and me saying, okay, well, because his
it's a good discussion.
It's definitely a good discussion. A well-needed discussion.
He's not. They're not on the forensic side, so they don't know everything that I know. You know what I'm saying? They are not. So it is my responsibility to try to explain to my best ability, to the best ability and degree that I can, to create some clarity. So I don't feel challenged at all. I'll tell you that right now. And I welcome all the questions. Right. And I just wanted it to be clear for you, Str8drop, when you were saying, well, this, that, and then I had to understand it, the way that you were saying it, and say, oh, okay, so this is what he's saying. Okay, so this is what that person means. Okay, and so I can get clarity as well as you getting clarity too. But no, it's no debating over here. I welcome all questions. Ask them, because a lot of people don't know. Like when I alluded to, let me go back to Julie. Julie works for Target Forensics. And the reason I wrote on Julie head was because she used an expired version of Photoshop that the life cycle had ended on, and no updates or maintenance on the version that she did use was given, because I called Adobe and I said, hey, and I got it on video too. I said, wait a minute. The life cycle ended on CS6. And Julie turns around and she uses that to conduct her analysis or do what she did to photos pertaining to this case. And I said, well, the thing about using an expired version of anything when a life cycle ends is they don't maintenance that. That means if patches, because there's vulnerabilities, security vulnerabilities, or whatever happens, all that mess shows up in the data, all of it. Now we have to deal with that too. And what we deal with is data that lacks integrity. Then we say, oh, this data lacks integrity. Why? Because you had a worm, you had a Trojan horse, you had a virus, you working with some tools that are open and exposed to vulnerabilities. See,
and that was my point I wanted to
all
challenge.
of this matters.
That was exactly my point. That was exactly my point I wanted to challenge. It was the data point, the data extraction process.
All of this matters. Julie showed up
Mm-hmm.
using an expired version of Photoshop, changing file formats to some of that video footage that's out there on Crown Plaza website that was up there on the website. And Str8drop, the time shows up that she did what she did. Her device shows up that she was using. Windows operating system that she was conducting. Her analysis or doing whatever she was doing on showed up as well too. See, all of this shows up when you get the bit by bit copies and you get the information authenticated. Everything that was happening in real time shows up for us on our end when we use our forensic tools and go back through there and start analyzing everything. All of that will show up, but we don't have it to show up. And that's one of the reasons I will forever stay on this case. I need some original something. You don't get to come out
and that was my
tell
point.
me nothing.
That was my major point that I wanted to address, was the fact that if we can do anything, because that's what the process of deduction always leads to the point and the truth. And so I said, well, if we can have the metadata extraction point truly investigated after the fact, and we can find inconsistencies with that data, would it be an important piece that we can use to go forward? And I believe you answered yes. It is an important piece, at least part of it, that we can begin to take a look at all the other inconsistencies from that point on through the video surveillance footage, from the edits that were made as the visual point. I do always considered what Str8drop talked about, which was the fact that, and you talked about in tonight's live, which was the fact that, oh, okay, well, if this is a copy of a copy of a copy, and this is what they gave us, how can we have it authenticated? And Boss Blake brought up a very good point there too.
Okay.
And I'm sitting here and I'm saying, well, it's got to be something with the metadata extraction point that at least we can use, along with the photos, at least we can use, and that was Malika's point too. There are some points here I believe we can challenge, and if we can focus on these points of challenge, I believe we would have something to at least approach a follow-up point, because I'm ready to move. I'm ready to take action on what we got, but we got to get it first.
I am too,
and then make a move.
And that's good. Now,
yeah,
doing this from a legal perspective and a forensic perspective, I go back to Rule 26E and 37E. The rules for electronically preserving data. Not only preserving data, but a duty to hold the data. I will roll on Crown Plaza head with this, even if they manipulated anything, which goes to Brooks' point. When he talked about, well, they just set it up, it could be the setup from the beginning where they just did this and then threw that out there. Yeah, they could have, thinking that people would buy the bait and move on. It goes back to knowing the law and saying, excuse me, Rosemont. That's why in my videos, I used to always say it. Rosemont had a duty to preserve all of the electronic data in its original form when they knew Kenneka was found dead on those premises. That speaks to Rule 26E, Rule 37E, as it relates to law. You have to roll the law over into this when you are dealing with people who are going to have attorneys and try to offer their objections to anything that you're presenting. You come right back with them. Well, rule da 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 da. You were supposed to do this, 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 according to law. Da 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 da. Okay, well, no authentication. Where's the chain of custodies for this? That right off the bat, when I hit the ground, when the reporters came up, I said, listen, I really don't want to, I'm not going to be on video. You don't have my consent to record me. and I really don't want to be in any pictures. My question for you is, do you have a bit-by-bit copy of the original hard drive? Sit there like, oh, wow, did she just ask that? Yes, I did. I said, do y'all got a copy? Do you have a copy? They said no. Okay, well then that's why I'm here. He didn't ask another question after that. You don't need to ask no other question after that. You know I'm here for business and I'm serious. I'm not here to play a game. Where's your bit-by-bit copy of the original hard drive? See, because you are a news
And so
anchor,
the rule
news
gives us
reporter. Rule number 26E and rule number 37.
right, and so the rule gives us the foundation then.
Yeah, the
And so
rules
the
and the
rules
laws
that
give
you're
you the
telling
foundation.
us about gives
Right.
us the foundation.
Right. On
Okay.
how to
Yeah,
electronically
amen.
store and maintain data.
Good.
This is law. This is not anything that I'm making up. These are the United States laws as it pertains to electronically stored information, as it pertains to data, as it pertains to live data captures. All of this is law. So, you know, that's always been my premises, is that no, you have to authenticate this data. You have to prove that data integrity is intact. Can you prove that for me? The police can't prove that for me because they didn't collect nothing. Julie can't prove it. She didn't collect nothing. They would have had to be their first person to collect it, or at least have a bit-by-bit copy of all the original hard drives that have been authenticated. And that means the hash values have to match bit per bit. That's algorithm per algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
And I just stay right there on this.
So at least we can all agree. Str8drop, did you want to say something? I'm sorry, bro.
I'm good,
I
bro.
thought Str8drop wanted to say something. Oh, okay.
I do.
Boss Blake, did you want to say something? Oh, I'm sorry, Malika. Oh, somebody. Okay, Malika.
I just want to know, like, where do we? Hey, y'all. No, I just want to know, like, where do we go from here? You know,
Well, where
like,
we go from here?
yeah,
I
where do we
think,
go
Malika,
from here? Because
where do we go from here is the challenge. Now, it goes back to submitting, getting your documentations together, making sure your proofs and your edits are there, and saying, okay, based on this, point number one is this, point number two is this, point number three is this, however many points we are going to have, and then we run our facts. As we state our claim, we run our facts in between each one of our points with our subpoints and say, based on this, we have concluded this case should be open because X, Y, and Z.
and submitting it to
Okay, so
Attorney
what
General.
would be a good point to begin a paper trail to do just that? I mean, what are some of the things that we can start to look for as a paper trail to begin collecting those points that we're talking about here tonight, so that we can use that going forward next to the rules?
Well, we have it.
We
To me, we've always had it. It's there. In my mind, has always been there. It's the detectives' reports. You take their own words and you use it against them. And it's a lot of things in those police reports that are missing. Like, we take what they don't have in there and we use it against them. Like, where's the chain of custody from Rosemont? Where is it? That's not in these reports. Where is the duty to preserve for Rosemont? Did you forget to put that there? Or did you forget that they were electronically storing data on the premises for their live captures with all that surveillance footage they had? Did you forget that? Where is that? You take their own reports and you use it against them. And it's a whole lot in those reports that you can build on to build a case and start using it against them. Like, we don't have a chain of custody. Nothing's been authenticated. This, that, and that, and you run it. You just run it, and you point by point, you put it in there. Then you run these laws in there. duty to preserve. Rule number 26E says this. Rule number 37E says this. By the way, while we running that in there, you throw your cases in there. That's why I always included cases in the beginning. Case number XYZ, this versus this. This happened in that case. That's the way attorneys do. They will always say, Kerenz, go back and give me a ton of cases if I'm going to be anything for them, or they want to call me in the court and say, go back and read all these cases. So I'm sitting up and I'm reading the cases and I'm saying, okay, FBI case. The FBI got somebody on authentication too. They said, hold on. They got them on data integrity. They said, wait a minute. The system, like Julie did, like they came back and said, okay, you use this, but the time of your data collection, it was a virus. It was a worm present. It was a Trojan horse present. No data integrity. And said, you know what? Because this lacks data integrity, then what? We're not taking it. We're not accepting it. And challenge them on it. You have to challenge everything. But for us, it is saying, where's the authentication of this video? It was never authenticated. We know Kenneka was there. We know she's there. We know she was found in the freezer. But we're never going to believe that she walked herself into that freezer. Therefore, we believe there should be a criminal, because it's already a civil suit in law that Mama Teresa is fighting. We believe that there should be a criminal case open based on this, on these. These are our stanzas for having a case reopened and wanting it reinvestigated for a criminal case from a criminal perspective. And we think, XYZ, because now we're talking about criminality. We're not talking about from a civil perspective that's going on. Now we're talking about we can move over into a criminal perspective, or we can still stay in a civil perspective and say, okay, we the people are going to sue you now, or da-da-da-da-da, because based on your negligence, based on your gross negligence as a village, as a state, we are going to sue you for this, 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 and this. Or we want the case reinvestigated and open because of this, 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 and this. We have the information and the points have always been there. It was right there in the police reports and the detectives' reports day one when they released them. It was there. And it wasn't just what they gave, it's what they didn't give. I always looked at what was missing. Even with the autopsy, it's a lot missing. You use their own against them. And then you run what's missing. Everybody up here, I'm sure by now, for most of us, because we've been working on this for the last 3 years, we can run what's missing. Most of us probably know it in our sleep. We don't have this. We don't have that. Then we put them underneath the category they belong in, and we build. We build. To me, in my mind, it should be at least 1,000 pages by just off, if people bring in valid points, you can make this thing 1,000 pages. Going over every little minute detail and challenging everything.
Her family actually did one, like her family did that as well. Do y'all remember that report that her family did for the FBI? And I want to say it was maybe 6-7 pages, kind of going through the details of what they missed. But I think it was only submitted to the FBI, so we can use that, as well.
If they did it legally and it's submitted, but the FBI wanted to come in and Rosemont told them, no, we don't need your help. Keep in mind at the beginning, and thank you for bringing that up, Malika, the FBI offered to help and they said, oh no, we got it. No, they didn't have it. If they had it, we would have more information than this by now. If they had it, we would have change of custodies where they should be. If they had it, we would have real forensic from that scene inside their kitchen. I don't see no footprints. I don't see no fingerprints. I don't see no hair follicles. And it's the fact that the police walked in there, they didn't have nothing on their feet. They didn't have nothing on their head. You bringing DNA to the scene and you taking it away at the same time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So John,
I think there's a question from the chat. Yeah, and I'm glad it is a lot, and I'm glad that I'm not alone, and I'm glad to see that the chat is still strong. We do have a lot, you know, and I'm glad that you know, we're having this discussion because clarification leads to certainty.
Mm-hmm.
Clarification leads to certainty.
My camera falling.
You know,
got so many cameras.
And that's the most important thing that that we're all after at this point. You know, I think there's a question inside the chat room to Kerenz. Is it possible to infiltrate a bit by bit while using it? And I think it's a very good question too.
It's possible to tamper with anything, but if you're asking that, when we conduct if I was to conduct a investigation and I had to go in and I had to right block a system to retrieve electronic information and data, could I manipulate the data in a copy? Yes, I could, and it would show up. That's why when you go in to conduct or collect the data, you put your write blocker in a read-only mode. So you cannot write to that hard drive. You can only read what you're collecting. You can't write to it. You can only read it. That's why when I say you want to go in and you want to put the write blocker in read-only mode, you don't want to have the write blocker in write and read mode because you can be writing to that hard drive while you're collecting the data. That's not what we want to do. We want it in a read mode only, so we can just read what's being collected and not alter it as we're collecting it. We don't want to be able to alter the data. It would lack data integrity if we're sitting up there writing. So we just put it in a read mode. If that answered the person's questions. We just put it in a read mode. You gotta have it in a read mode only.
Yeah, definitely a good question. So at this point, I wanted to go back to Boss Blake. Hopefully, Kerenz was able to really cover some groundbreaking information on this case, and I believe she did, regarding the conversation and discussion that we're having tonight. Mm-hmm. Did that bring clarity to you, brother?
Most
Did it give you some points of clarity?
Yeah, she actually answered all the questions that I asked you, and and I appreciate that, Kerenz. I appreciate it. It just makes a lot of sense the way you put it, so I appreciate it.
Right. And I have some video. I think I did some videos where I was showing how you. I think I did a video. Yeah, I did do a video of showing an image copy versus a bit by bit copy. And I think but it was over 2 years ago, showing the difference between the both, and why you want a bit by bit copy opposed to just getting the image of a hard drive. But I don't remember what video that was in. I just remember it was probably like a 5 or 10 minute video, probably 5. That was when I was doing 5 and out. Get the information up here in 5 minutes and get out. So if you want to,
definitely no 5-minute discussion, that's for sure.
Right, go back because people have to understand. And like I said, when you're not in this field, you do have a lot of questions, and you can think just anything goes. But when it gets to court, it is not that way. It just is not going to go down that way. It's not going to go down that way because you're going to get challenged on everything. And last year, when I had to show up to court for this particular case, and the police are looking, and so I get to say before the jurors that, I was sitting there quiet with my glasses on, just kind of looking. And then they finally said, well, okay. They got to me. I said, okay, this is what I wanted the jurors to hear. I said, so. And this police department, I said, so. Inside the jail, okay, it was a case where a man and the police had an altercation. But inside the jail, guess what mysteriously happened? The cameras wasn't working. And they didn't have no video footage. Yeah, last year. And the police wanted you to take their word as the evidence. They didn't want to present any evidence, just take our word. And I said, excuse me. So, you know, they allude to me. I said, excuse me. And like I said, I'm not an attorney. I just come in if they want me to be party to the forensic in a digital, whatever technical aspect. I said, excuse me. So, you mean to tell me that a computer, and I had to break it down for him. I said, the computer represents a node on a network. You guys are on the network, right? You're on the internet, right? So you're capturing this data over the internet via networks, right? They said, yes. I said, so you knew when the nodes on the network went down a while ago and you didn't get them fixed. And so you don't have any video footage, but you want people to take your word as the evidence and not present the evidence when it should be here in cameras. And I was done. The police were like, yeah, well, the camera, okay, well, then you answered the question. You knew the cameras were down. You didn't fix them. Now you don't have the video footage and you want them to take your word as the evidence when the evidence should be available. See, takes me back to Rosemont. All of the video footage should be available. The purpose of having cameras on your premises is so incidents like this don't occur. Why do you even have cameras on your premises if somebody can end up dead and you not get to them in time? Those cameras are supposed to function as a security and protection measure, not as a death sentence. What was the purpose of them even having cameras on the premises if it wasn't capturing what it should have been capturing and Kenneka life didn't get saved? What's your whole purpose of monitoring the premises then? What are you securing? And then it's the fact that they had security staff. Why? What are they securing? She ended up dead in the freezer.
Precisely. Precisely. Just wanted to once again thank all of my panel members in tonight's explosive live for joining us. This was a critical and I believe it's a turning point for us. Anyone following the case, you know, this information that we have discussed tonight. Yes,
Can I just
they
say
do.
this?
They do.
Our hearts and mind
You know.
clear. Our hearts and mind clear up here, because I don't want people to go out thinking, "Oh, it was a no." I have no form or I have no heated whatever with any person up here. Some of these people I am meeting for the first time, like Malika, like Brooks. I have seen some of Str8drop work in the past. John, quite naturally, I know your work. Amp Easy, definitely know him. So through the media, definitely know his work. I just want to make sure that everybody's heart and mind is clear, and to let them know that I take no offense to any question that I'm ever asked, because I'm going to answer it. And if I cannot answer it, you will know. I'll tell you. Let me get back to you on that. I'm not going. Well, I don't have an answer. I'm not going. But what I do have the answers on, I have the answers on. And forensics is my field. And so because this is my field, I can speak with a certain level of authority and assurity when it comes to this area right here. Now, you talk about another vein, I probably couldn't say much. But when it comes to this, yeah.
And you broke it down in a way it was easily understood.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that. Because I always had that feeling when it came to looking at the footage. That's why I really didn't spend so much time looking into it. But the way you broke it down, it kind of gave me confirmation why I was led in the direction I was led into. You know, so I thank you for that. And you answered everything, you know, with so much clarity. You gave us so much understanding. So I appreciate that. And like I said, you gave me confirmation.
Okay,
So
good.
thank you for
Good.
that.
Good. Good. So Malika's clear. I think Str8drop said he was clear earlier. I know John is clear. Bruce is clear. Good. Good.
I
So
definitely
now,
think that this should be just the beginning. Like we need to get together, whether behind the scenes or do some more panel discussions, but we need to get together and actually, you know, put our next step together. As you were saying, you know, kind of make sure we have
drafting.
everything that was, and kind of draft and everything, our next steps. So I think that this was the start. This was the beginning, and it turned out wonderful. So thank you, John, for bringing us all on together.
Right. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. So I think it would be advantageous for everybody to write down the key points, or just even brainstorm on a sheet of paper, write it down and send it to John. Just brainstorm or write down the points and send it to John and say, okay, and then come back up and be like, okay, well, these were everybody's points. So let's categorize them and put them in the area, in the section they belong in. And let's build from there. Then you bring your proofreaders in. Then you bring attorneys in, because I do deal with real attorneys on my channel. I always have attorneys look over stuff that I'm doing and say, okay, and then send it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
There you go.
And maybe we can come together on another live, John, and have the people in the chat to bring in 8 points and stuff, and we'll go behind the scenes and draft something up.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
it would be good, because
Absolutely.
I'm sure people in the chat I'm sure people in the chat got a lot of points that we probably didn't even touch on up here. They probably
some things that they want to
add.
I
wanted to make sure that tonight's live gave everyone something to walk away with. And I'm a number one believer in what Str8drop brought up. It said, look, we can sit here and talk about it, but if I leave and I didn't have anything, I don't get anything from it. I didn't really grasp anything. I can't really leave, well, let's just say it left a lot of blanks, in regarding the questions that I had, then, what's the point? So I wanted to make sure that we all walk away here tonight with some solid factual answers. No more guesswork. No more cloudy narratives. Yeah. No more reaching, speculation of any kind. The focus is now on improving and clarifying our path going forward. And yes, my email, John Q, and then the word Q, 001 @gmail.com. You can send in your notes to me, and I will have that put together and have a private discussion behind the scenes with the same content creators I've been talking to follow up with them. And in this way, we can begin to crystallize that information. And then I can send it over to Kerenz and have her, take a look at least the draft point, a beginning stage as to, how we're going to proceed going forward. And yeah, we're going to come back and do another live panel discussion. This is not the last. This is just the beginning. There were a number of content creators I wanted to have on here tonight.
Right.
I Have Questions was one of them. Wanted to be on. There's a time difference and a schedule that they couldn't connect with, and that's fine. I wanted to have Amp Easy back on, who joined us in our last live. Jackie Dragon, wanted to have Jackie Dragon on to get their input, and a number of others. So yeah, this is just the first, and thank all of the panel members for coming on tonight. We ran a good live. It's been 3 hours and a little change. So anybody that posts a comment under this live saying, "Oh, it's 3 hours long," I say most good lives will be about 3 to 4 hours long of substance. Where you walk away with something, and that's
I think we did good, because we are. This is our first time all being up here together. at one time. And so I think we did really good because you're bringing in different people with, you know, that have never been on a panel together. You and I've been on a panel together, John, but
Yeah.
this is our first time being up here all together. So,
Right. So it's been interesting for me because this is my first time ever hosting something like this. So you know how crazy my fingers were moving to try to, you know, get some of the comments and, you know, keep people on board. Good thing we didn't have any interruptions, you know, to try to present alive and where we can have a starting point, which is perception, which is the critical part of this case, interpretation, internal dialogue, and opinion. Using those 4 steps and then covering the information we've covered tonight, I've got much love for every single person that's still with us right about now, okay, on this live. So much love to everyone. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll be back. I hope we can, I can, you know, get the engines running again for next week, and I'll pre-post it at least 72 hours in advance, like I always do, to notify everybody. And we'll come back, but we've got some homework to do. And
we do.
use my email. Please send it, because now the engines are running. I want to put this baby on drive.
Right. I have to go back through all those police documents all over again because, like Str8drop was pointing out, he was like, no, they weren't all in the kitchen. They were different parts. Now I'm like, okay, it's been about 2-3 years. So now I have to go back through what the police put out and really start plucking that apart. And I already know what they didn't give, but I can also just go greater in depth to what I see missing from a computer forensic aspect that I know should be there.
I just think that main thing
Absolutely.
I think the main thing is everybody gathering their information together and open discussion. Nobody's wrong, nobody's right. You know what I mean? And I think that should be with everybody. You know what I mean? Everybody who cares, at least. You know what I mean? It's like just everybody be respectful. And at the end of the day, I think it's a perfect idea. You know what I mean?
Right. Because I do believe that people
Definitely.
really want to see. People really want to see some form of justice behind this, especially those of us who were, you know, like looking at this like, nah, we're not even supposed to believe that narrative. We don't care. Something is off.
People are tired of the bull. They tired of the games. They tired of the bull stuff. And I know I am, Korean. At this point, I want some facts. I want some stuff to be authenticated. I want to see some truth. I want to see us walk towards justice and truth. People are just tired. It's been over 2 years, not just us as content creators, but everybody that's been following this case. We are tired. If you're not going to come correct, don't come at all. Period. Don't come deliberately. Don't come deliberately trying to misdirect me and lying to me. That's my whole thing. If this is what you feel and you have some proof to back it up or some facts to back it up, then that's one thing. But don't come deliberately trying to misdirect me from the truth. Don't come to me deliberately lying to me. You see what I'm saying? People are tired. And this is the reason why I told John, I said, you know what, John, I had to give it a rest for a minute. But everybody that he named that he wanted to bring on board, I wasn't really familiar with you, but I know he spoke highly of you. He spoke highly of Boss Blake. I said, yeah, let's do it. Because he know when it comes to actually fighting for justice and trying to move towards justice, I'm down for that. If I have to come out the pocket to pay for something, whatever, I'm down for it. And see, this right here is going to separate the real from the fake. Hello. This is going to separate the real from the fake.
Amen.
Okay? Because some people don't want this case to be closed. They don't want us to get nowhere with it.
It was by the pool.
This going to separate the real from the fake. Let me mute up. Because I'm on one right now. Let me mute up.
I wanted to make sure that we got this.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that this live got done Thank you. I wanted to make sure that the slide got done in a timely fashion, only because there is a birthday coming, and sure that we got the slide in before one of the panel members went out of town.
Who
And
birthday
so
coming?
this would be
birthday?
this would be a pre-gift. This would be a pre-gift from me and all of the panel members on board to Malika in reference to a happy birthday. We wanted to make sure that we did this before your birthday, and happy birthday to you, love.
Thank you. My 40th. Hey.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. John,
Happy
I told John, I said, we have to do this live before I go out of town, John. I've been waiting on this live.
Whatever you do on your birthday, don't go by the pool.
You stupid. I'm not with you. Let me mute up.
I don't know what they're talking about, but it's funny.
Everything happened by the pool, all right? Just don't go by there, all right? Stay out of the water.
I don't know what they're talking about, but it's funny the way Str8drop is saying it to me, not if it's any other person out there that may find it offensive. I don't know. I just think it's funny the way he's saying don't go by the pool.
Korean, you see how quick I mute up?
It was in the letter.
I mute up.
It was in the letter. It was in the letter.
You see how quick I mute up, Korean? I was like, I got nothing to do with that mute.
By the pool, man. For real. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Thank y'all. Cancer season, baby.
Yeah. That's all I gotta say. But I'm down whenever you're down. I mean,
So for everyone on the phone,
go ahead, John.
Yeah, go ahead, Str8. Go ahead.
No, I'm down. Just know that I'm me. You know what I mean? I'm gonna question everything.
Okay.
So that's all.
And you should.
That's good.
You should question everything.
Drop piss on your head and tell him it's raining.
Hell no, that's piss.
TMI, bro. TMI.
I'm glad tonight's power team. Was able to get together and do a very special live, and this is memorable in the Kenneka Jenkins case. And I'm sure that Teresa Martin is most appreciative of having this live done finally. And we're going to be, breaking some more ground with upcoming lives. So stay tuned. Please subscribe to all the members on the panel. If you haven't, please get the sub button hit. And don't worry about personalities. Don't worry about feelings or emotions. This is about Kenneka's, and this is about her case. Right. That's right.
Right.
And the people on board on tonight's live have shown that, have proven that, have worked hard to present just that, and that alone. We're not here to get into a personality conflict with anyone. We have for any other content creator as well as subscriber, subscribers as well. Both live discussions with content creators and live discussions with subscribers. And we're going to expand on that and keep our work in motion. And as long as it's in motion, we've got a big opportunity and a great big chance to get justice for Kenneka. And that's the reason I'm here, and that's the reason I'm doing this. So much love to you. Definitely. All of you.
Can we drop some justice for Kenneka in the chat room?
And a happy.
Yes.
J4K, some justice for Kenneka. And yes, Letha, Mama T is making sure, that she doing what she have to do to make sure Kenneka getting justice. And we just doing what we got to do to make sure we keep her name alive and make sure that we keep searching for truth and facts and not fiction and not falling for the okie doke. And doing whatever we have to do on our end. Str8drop, don't start, because I'm gonna have to mute up again.
Does that mean I'm gonna see you over mommy house in a little bit? Sis?
I'm have to mute up again. You keep.
Ain't you my sister?
You my cousin.
Oh, cousin, my bad. Okay. Ain't you see me with auntie house?
Wow.
A little bit?
Mute up, Korean. Look, I'm about to mute up.
Oh.
You is crazy.
Wow.
You know you my cousin. But anyway, so yeah, drop J4K in the chat room, y'all. That's what this is about. This is always about.
Yes, definitely.
Hey, Lee. And by the way, I had an awesome team for the last 2+ years working with me. Letha Brawley, Payne Truth, A.M. Moore. Don't think I was just. I had some eyes and some researchers behind me. I don't want people to think I was doing this alone. That would be bogus.
Facts. Facts.
Let me acknowledge that.
I got a hell of a team. You know what I mean? they is called the Drop Vets. You know. Mm-hmm.
Somebody said you messy. The real Miss Dice said you messy, Drop.
Oh yeah.
I gotta agree.
Definitely messy. On my
You
time.
messy, I'm petty. Hell.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we love you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm sorry y'all was running a little bit behind. I had to make sure I got my phone.
Hi y'all.
Bad drop. Mute up. I'm about to mute up.
Y'all be good, man. I'm out too. I gotta go eat something, man.
Bye, everybody.
All right, Str8drop.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Shout out to everybody on the panel.
Yes, you're welcome.
Shout out to everybody on the panel. He can over there.
And anybody got a problem with it, bring your ass to the bottom, nigga.
Hey.
Asian right there. Okay, Bob.
We know what they did to her, and it really hurt. Justice haven't even been served, like they don't even work. All right, I'm going, man. I just had to play that, man.
Is that your Kenneka song?
Hey, man, I appreciate all y'all, man. Salute, Str8drop, Kerenz.
It was
Malika.
nice meeting you.
You
It
too,
was
man.
nice
I
meeting
appreciate
you.
all y'all.
Nice meeting you, Malika. Str8drop.
Oh yeah, salute.
One love. I'm
Gotta
gone.
do this again, folks.
All right.
I gotta go eat these chitlins before they get cold.
Oh, not chillin'.
Mm-hmm.
Not chillin'.
At the same time, a little cornbread and beans. I'm out.
All
Much
right.
love to you, boss
I
lady.
thought our people only eat
Right.
chillins on Christmas
Much love to
and
you, boss lady.
Thanksgiving. He had a whole Thanksgiving meal.
Much love to you, Str8drop. Definitely.
Yeah, this was
Thanksgiving
wonderful.
meal today.
Well, you know, Malika, let me be honest. My mom cooked it up. She did that dirty rice. My dad's from Louisiana, so she did that dirty rice. She dropped that duck up in that dirty rice. She did that cornbread, did them cabbage. So I was like, oh, mom, cook.
I mean,
everybody must be eating good today.
That's true. That's true.
Wow.
It's Sunday.
All right, ladies.
All right, John.
We're gonna
thank you for having
get
us
this
on.
wrapped
I'm gonna
up.
go
We're
ahead
gonna
and
close them out.
Thank you, everybody. And if you have any
All right,
questions,
love.
no question is stupid. Just let me know. Bye.
talk
Plenty
to y'all
much love.
later. Bye-bye.
All right. Wow. And there you have it. Panel discussion tonight in regards to the Kenneka Jenkins case. We're just starting. We're just beginning. Things are in motion. And I wanted to share that with every single one of you that has, participated in tonight's live, just to show you where I'm coming from and how serious the work is ahead. Stay tuned. Definitely subscribe to the members of the panel if you haven't. Show them love, support what they're doing, and together, we can ball a fist and get stronger. Because as soon as we do, stronger we get. And tonight is an example, a true example of people coming together, strength, unity, and love. Once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us. I will definitely try to be back here next week, same time, with another panel discussion. I believe there are other content creators I wanted to bring on that weren't able to make it for tonight's presentation. But we're going to open up the door and get that job done, as well as subscribers. I think I'm going to try to do it in the middle of the week to get a subscriber panel up here and strengthen our steps on the path that we're taking. and God's told me to do that, and that's what I'm about to do. So, with that said, love to everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Peace and blessings to everyone. Until next time, stay well and be blessed with Godspeed. John Q. Take care.